A dozen breaths later, Ren Wuxuang also opened his eyes, and there was a trace of excitement on his face. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Congratulations, sis. Now that I've also opened the door of potential, my cultivation speed will definitely not be any slower than yours." Congratulations indeed. Ren Wuxuang stood up, his face full of smiles. He was very happy. Yes. Sister, your talent is extraordinary and rarely seen in 10,000 years. Who would dare to compare themselves to you? Wouldn't that be asking for a snub? Qin Feiyang chuckled. Cut it out. Ren Wuxuang rolled her eyes at him, looked at the pill scripture, and asked, "Did you find any more miraculous pills?" Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. He would not hide anything from Ren Wuxuang. Let me take a look. Ren Wuxuang curiously walked to the front of the pill scripture and looked at all the pill formulas carefully. In the end, his gaze locked onto the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir and the small creation elixir. Isn't this the same as the 9 chew yellow dragon pill and the potential elixir? Suddenly, she said in surprise. Is that so? Qin Feiyang was slightly startled. After taking a closer look, it was indeed the case. The 9 transformation dragon blood elixir had the miraculous effect of allowing war masters or war saints to break through their cultivation. The small creation elixir was specially used to open the door of potential for war masters and war saints. In short, the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir and the small creation elixir were the upgraded versions of the 9 chew yellow dragon elixir and the potential elixir. However, when he saw the success rate of the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir, Qin Feiyang's eyes froze, as if a basin of cold water had been poured over his head, and his joy disappeared. Although the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir could allow one to break through their cultivation, it could not be compared to the 9 chew yellow dragon elixir and the scarlet fire color glass elixir, because the probability was too low. According to the introduction, the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir without elixir veins only had a 5% success rate. The 9 transformation dragon blood elixir with 1 elixir vein had a 10% success rate. 2 elixir veins had a 20% success rate. 3 elixir veins had a 30% success rate. And so on. In other words, only a divine pill with more than 9 elixir veins and a dragon-shaped elixir chi had a 10% success rate. And now, Qin Feiyang could only refine a pill with 4 elixir veins, which was not even half of the success rate. And even if it was a divine pill, it could only allow one to break through a small realm. As for the small creation elixir, it was the same as the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir. It required a small creation elixir to open the door to one's potential. Unbelievable. Ren Wuxuang was shocked to the extreme. He closed the pill scripture and looked at the signature on the cover. Just who was this Wu Tian to be able to create so many miraculous pills? But when she turned her head and saw the disappointed Qin Feiyang, she couldn't help but roll her eyes and say, "Not to mention the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir's pill formula, even this name, no one has ever heard of it, you should be satisfied." Yeah, I should be satisfied. Qin Feiyang nodded, opened the pill scripture again, and read the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir's medicinal ingredients in detail. However, just by seeing the first medicinal ingredient of the 9 transformation dragon blood elixir, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows, and said angrily, "How is it possible to find this kind of medicinal ingredient?" Ren Wuxuang lowered his head to look, and nodded. It is indeed harder than ascending to the heavens. Because the first medicinal ingredient was dragon blood. Moreover, it had to be the blood of a true dragon, not even the blood of a flood dragon. One had to know. Dragons had always been legends, and no one had ever seen one before. Where could one find dragon blood? Isn't this making things difficult? Qin Feiyang shook his head and continued reading. The 9 transformation dragon blood elixir required a total of 66 medicinal ingredients. Apart from the dragon blood, he had seen the other medicinal ingredients in the Imperial Palace's medicinal treasure vault. But in the 9 prefectures, it was extremely rare. It seems that it is impossible to refine the 9 chew yellow dragon elixir in a short period of time. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply, looked at the medicinal ingredients of the small creation pill, and his eyes widened again. The top 3 medicinal ingredients were actually the 10,000-year 9 suns flower, 10,000-year blood ginseng, and 10,000-year snow crystal. Qin Feiyang was no stranger to these 3 medicinal ingredients. Because the 3 main medicinal ingredients of the potential elixir were these, they were not very rare. It was estimated that Fatso had ready-made medicinal ingredients on him now. But the crux of the problem was that refining the small creation pill required 10,000-year 9 suns flower, blood ginseng, and snow crystal. 10,000 years. The Great Qin Empire had only been established for 10,000 years. Where could they find these medicinal ingredients? It was simply impossible. Qin Feiyong patiently read it in detail, and finally let out a sigh of relief. Although the conditions to refine these 2 pills were very harsh, there were still praiseworthy aspects. Take the small creation pill for example. Even if one failed to open the door of potential the first time, they would not explode and die. Moreover, they could continue to take the small creation pill and try to open the door of potential again. The blood mist that filled the air was thicker and the visibility was only about 50 meters. Moreover, there was a gloomy and cold aura everywhere as if it was from hell. Fatso and the others jumped down from the king crocodile's back one after another. Looking at the plane in front of them, they did not dare to rashly step into it. Because the plane was too quiet, there was no noise at all. Coupled with the blood mist in the air, it formed a very strange atmosphere that made one's hair stand on end. Everyone be careful. Also, don't leave the team. If anything happens, Fat Lord and Brother Wolf will not save you. Fatso said in a deep voice. He, who had always been frivolous, was also incomparably cautious at this moment. Even Wolf King was the same. His eyes were full of vigilance. Everyone nodded. Let's go. Fatso waved his hand. The group maintained their formation and slowly walked into the plane. Their ears were alert and their eyes were looking in all directions, as if they were facing a great enemy. However, the plane was unexpectedly calm. After walking for nearly 20 breaths, there was still no danger. Suddenly, Dong Zhangyang, who was walking beside Fatso, pointed to a place in front and exclaimed, "Look, what's that?" Everyone looked in the direction he pointed and a trace of surprise crept into their eyes. About 50 meters away in the blood mist, there was a huge silhouette that looked like a peerless beast lurking there. Be careful. The fatty warned once more before leading the group towards the blurry silhouette. As the distance continued to shrink, the silhouette became clearer. When they walked for more than 20 meters, the group suddenly stopped at the same time as if they had seen something terrifying. Their eyes were full of horror. The silhouette was a huge stone door. The stone door was more than 10 feet tall and 50 to 60 feet wide. It was completely red as if it had been soaked in blood. The gloomy and cold aura came from this stone door. However, this was not what scared them. What really scared them were the 3 words on the crossbeam above the stone door. Chapter 635. How could there be a gate of hell? As everyone knew, the gate of hell was a very ethereal existence. There were legends among the people that there were not only humans in the world, but also many ghosts. These ghosts lived in a place called the Netherworld. This was where living creatures went after death. In other words, all living creatures that died would go to the Netherworld, be sent to the 18 levels of hell, or be reincarnated. It was rumored that the gate of hell was the first door to the Netherworld. But rumors were just rumors. No one knew if the Netherworld really existed. However, at this moment, the gate of hell appeared in front of them. How could they not be shocked? Did the Netherworld really exist? If they entered the gate of hell, would they enter the Netherworld? The legendary Netherworld was not a good place. The group of people looked at the stone door in horror, not daring to take half a step forward. Once they entered the gate of hell, they would die. What should they do? Wu Yan and the others looked at Fatso and Dong Zhangyang. They were all flustered and at a loss. Fatso pondered for a while and shouted, "Boss, we are in big trouble. Come out." After a month of non-stop copying, Qin Feiyong had already copied half of the first stroke of the kill formula. Originally, he wanted to do it in one step and copy it directly. Because this way, he could break through to the 2-star Battle Master realm and catch up with Fatso and Wolf King. However, he could not ignore Fatso's request for help. After retracting his arm, he closed the 6 words divine formula and closed the iron box. He took a battle chi pill and left the castle with Ran Wushuang, appearing on the back of the Crocodile King. As soon as the two came out, they frowned. The atmosphere here was not right. Fatso pointed at the gate of hell and said in a deep voice, "Boss, look there." Qin Feiyong raised his head to look, and his pupils suddenly shrank. At the same time, Ran Wushuang also turned pale. What was going on? They actually came to the gate of hell? Qin Feiyong jumped down and walked to Fatso's side, looking at the stone door seriously. He hesitated for a moment. Someone said, "Why don't we retreat? Maybe Commander Wang Hong and City Lord Jiang Qianqing are still waiting for us on the plains." He had heard of it. Those who were timid could not help but be moved. Lu Xingchen frowned and said, "I don't want to give up halfway. If you want to go back, go back." "Why are you, a 7 stars combat emperor, pretending?" Someone shouted angrily. Lu Xingchen turned to look at that person. A cold light flashed in his eyes, but he didn't say anything. He turned to look at Qin Feiyong and said, "Shall we go scout first?" "That's inappropriate." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "Why?" Lu Xingchen was puzzled. He knew Qin Feiyong well. Qin Feiyong was definitely not afraid. He must be worried about something. Su Yang's killing intent immediately rose. He took a step forward and landed in front of the white-clothed man, and actually smashed his head with a punch. Although in front of Qin Feiyong and the others, Su Yang's strength was not great, but in the War Emperor realm, he could be considered a top expert. As for that big man, he was only a 7-star War Emperor. He was not prepared in advance, so it was normal for him to be killed instantly. However, Su Yang's actions were somewhat shameful. Because he himself jumped higher than anyone else, but now he was taking his anger out on others. What was going on? However, due to Su Yang's strength, the others did not dare to say anything. Wu Yan, who was in cahoots with Su Yang, also sneered and said, "There's no need to be angry with them. Hurry up and go in. Otherwise, once Qin Feiyong and the others leave, we will have no way to survive." Su Yang nodded, pointed to the big man lying in a pool of blood, and coldly snorted, "Whoever dares to cause trouble in the future and offend Qin Feiyong, he will be the one to end up like him." After saying that, the two of them turned around and ran into the stone door without looking back. These two bastards, why didn't I see them being so arrogant in front of Qin Feiyong? Qin Feiyong only needs to wave his hand to turn them into ashes. Do they have the guts to do so? Yeah, it's our fault for being weaker than him. In order to survive, we have to endure it. The group of people sighed deeply and quickly ran into the stone door. After the last person entered the stone door automatically closed with a rumble. Soon, another 5 people came to the gates of hell. It was Wan Qiu and the others. The gates of hell. Like Qin Feiyong and the others, when they saw the stone door, they all felt panic in their hearts. There's a corpse. The 5 of them walked to the big man's corpse. After a moment of careful observation, Feng Hui said, "It's someone from the spirit state. The blood is still warm. He died not long ago." Wan Qiu's eyes flashed coldly. "That means they just went in, and there are no traces of fighting here. Before they went in, they must have had an internal conflict." Feng Hui nodded and asked, "Should we wait before going in?" Wan Qiu clenched his fists and nodded. "Wait." This word was practically said through gritted teeth. It was enough to show how sullen he was in his heart. Sigh. At the same time, they didn't know where the exit was, so they could only move forward. About 50 breaths of time. Suddenly, a pained wail came from behind. Qin Feiyong quickly stopped and turned around, only to see Xiang Xiaolong lying on the ground, holding his head with both hands, screaming hysterically. "What's going on?" Qin Feiyong walked to Xiang Xiaolong's side and asked Wu Yan. "I'm in front of him. I don't know what's going on." Wu Yan shook his head. "I'm behind Xiang Xiaolong, I know." A short young man stood up. Qin Feiyong said, "Hurry up and say it." The short young man said, "I saw it with my own eyes just now. He was running and lying on the ground, but I don't know what's going on." Strange. Qin Feiyong frowned. "Let me see." Lu Xingchen pushed Qin Feiyong away and walked to Xiang Xiaolong, frowning. "Xiang Xiaolong, are you okay?" However, Xiang Xiaolong didn't seem to hear it, and he stopped screaming, stopped struggling, and lay motionless on the ground. Lu Xingchen laughed. "It seems that he's fine." Phew. Everyone also let out a long breath. It was really a false alarm. But Qin Feiyong didn't relax and stared at Xiang Xiaolong. He felt that things weren't over. Because, if Xiang Xiaolong was really fine, he would definitely answer Lu Xingchen. But now, not only did Xiang Xiaolong not answer, but he was also lying on the ground. Obviously, Something was wrong. Seeing that Xiang Xiaolong didn't move, Lu Xingchen smiled faintly. If you're fine, get up quickly, why are you lying there? But Xiang Xiaolong still didn't say a word. What's going on? Everyone was surprised again. Lu Xingchen frowned and reached out to grab Xiang Xiaolong's arm, trying to pull him up. Hee. But at this moment, a sinister laugh suddenly rang out. And the person who let out that sinister laugh was Xiang Xiaolong. Immediately after, Xiang Xiaolong suddenly raised his head and pounced towards Lu Xingchen. And the moment he raised his head, Qin Feiyang and the rest were aghast. Because the current Xiang Xiaolong and the previous Xiang Xiaolong were two completely different people. The current Xiang Xiaolong, not only was his face full of glaring blood vessels, but his eyes were also blood red. Most importantly at this moment, his eyes were ruthless, cold, cruel and bloodthirsty. Lu Xingchen was also shocked by this sudden scene and instinctively struck out with his palm. Boom! Xiang Xiaolong was sent flying on the spot, spitting out blood. Hee. But as if he didn't feel pain, he immediately got up from the ground and pounced on the woman closest to him with a sinister smile. His face was extremely sinister. What's going on? Everyone was bewildered. When the woman saw Xiang Xiaolong pouncing towards her, her beautiful face turned pale and she quickly retreated. Dong Zhengyang frowned. He seems to have gone mad. Qin Feiyang said. No, he's not mad, he's lost his mind. Wake up! Lu Xingchen roared and went forward to grab Xiang Xiaolong's neck, then slapped Xiang Xiaolong's face. Xiang Xiaolong immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his teeth were all shattered. But even so, he showed no signs of waking up. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws, laughing sinisterly as if he was possessed. How could this be? Qin Feiyang frowned. Logically speaking, Lu Xingchen's slap should be able to wake Xiang Xiaolong up, but why did it have no effect at all? Suddenly, he glanced at the blood mist in the void, his face full of surprise. Could it be that the blood mist was causing trouble? Dong Zhengyang shouted. Lu Xingchen, don't waste any more time, go quickly. This place was too strange. He didn't want to stay a moment longer. What about him? Lu Xingchen frowned. This him was naturally referring to Xiang Xiaolong. Dong Zhengyang said, up to you, as long as you don't drag everyone down. However, before he finished speaking, another painful scream rang out. Everyone hurriedly looked over and saw that the person who screamed was the woman who was attacked by Xiang Xiaolong earlier. They saw that the woman, like Xiang Xiaolong before, was half kneeling on the ground, holding her head with both hands, looking extremely painful. Moreover, her face was also quickly crawling with shocking bloodlines. Seeing this scene, everyone present trembled with fear. Qin Feiyang also looked at the woman, but suddenly seemed to have discovered something, and looked up at the woman's head. Suddenly, his eyes sank and then looked at the other people's heads, and said in a deep voice, it can't be wrong. What? Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said, their changes are related to this blood mist. Blood mist? Everyone was surprised. This blood mist can drill into our sea of consciousness, erode our rationality, and make us crazy. Look at her head. There are traces of blood mist drilling into the top of her head. Now, not only her, our rationality is also being eroded by the blood mist. Qin Feiyang said. Everyone looked at the woman, and sure enough, there was blood mist constantly seeping into the top of her head, but it was not very obvious, so they did not notice it before. Shenlong said, then won't we also become like them? Definitely. It's only because her and Xiang Xiaolong's cultivation are the lowest, so they went crazy before us. Qin Feiyang said. As soon as these words came out, the place immediately fell into chaos, and everyone was in danger. Senior brother Qin, you must help us. I don't want to die. I'll kneel down, I'll kowtow to you. Suddenly, Wu Yan and Su Yang ran in front of Qin Feiyang, knelt on the ground, and begged. Senior brother Qin, we also kneel down to you, we also kowtow to you, we beg you to be merciful and save everyone. Seeing this, except for Dong Zhengyang and a few others, the others also knelt down, their faces full of despair. If the exit was right in front of them, they definitely wouldn't beg Qin Feiyang. But now, there wasn't even a shadow of the exit. Who knew how long they would have to stay here? And this blood mist was still pouring into their heads, and they would follow in Xiang Xiaolong's footsteps at any time. So, Qin Feiyang was their only hope now. Hee hee. In the blink of an eye. The woman finally stopped screaming and laughed sinisterly. Her hair was disheveled and her eyes were blood red. Like a devil from hell, she pounced on the crowd. At the same time, another two people went crazy. After struggling in pain for a while, they pounced on the people next to them like hungry wolves. Damn it! Dong Zhengyang cursed and quickly took action, directly ending the lives of the three people. Then, he turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said in a deep voice, "Although I don't want to help them, they are really pitiful now. Why don't I help them again? Pitiful people must have something to hate." Wolf King snorted coldly. Dongfang Wuhan sighed. "We are all from the spiritual state. Why do you have to be so ruthless?" Ruthless? Wolf King was slightly stunned and suddenly laughed out of anger. Dongfang Wuhan frowned and finally smiled apologetically. "I was talking too much, I'm sorry." Because in the current situation, he didn't dare to offend Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. "You think you can just say sorry?" Wolf King sneered. "Then what do you want?" "Like them, kneel down and apologize to you," Dongfang Wuhan said. Wolf King's eyes flashed fiercely. It looked like it was going to attack directly, but Qin Feiyang stopped it and said, "Don't talk nonsense with him." Then he looked at Wu Yan and the others and said, "I won't let you enter the castle again, but seeing that Dong Zhengyang pleaded for you, I can let Wolf King take you there. As for whether you live or die in the end, it will depend on your luck." Dong Zhengyang nodded and said, "That's good. Wolf King's speed is fast, and your chances of survival are also high." "Is that all?" Wu Yan and the others were disappointed, but even if they had resentment in their hearts, they didn't dare to show it. Because Dongfang Wuhan's words had already angered Wolf King and Qin Feiyang. If they dared to say half a word more, Qin Feiyang and Wolf King would definitely not bring them along. At that time there would be no hope at all. Chapter 637. However, Wu Yan and the others didn't know that even if they hid their resentment in their hearts, Wolf King was still unwilling to do so. "Little Qin Zi, why are you still helping them? Is there something wrong with your brain?" Wolf King secretly transmitted his voice. He was a little angry. Qin Feiyang said, "We'll talk later. Let's go first." Wolf King raised his eyebrows and jumped down from Qin Feiyang's shoulder. He swept everyone up and used the void escape step to rush forward. As for Xiang Xiaolong, he was also mercilessly killed by Lu Xingchen. After rushing for a while, Wolf King transmitted his voice. "Now tell me, why are you still helping them?" Qin Feiyang secretly said, "I'm doing Dong Zhengyang a favor." "What do you mean?" Wolf King was puzzled. "Didn't you hear me? I just said that I'm helping them because Dong Zhengyang pleaded for them. In other words, Dong Zhengyang now indirectly owes me a favor," Qin Feiyang said. Although Dong Zhengyang had a grudge against him, he was upright and upright. He was worthy of a deep friendship. Of course, he might not gain anything by doing this. However, he didn't force it. What would happen in the end would be up to fate. Wolf King glanced at him and didn't complain anymore. He led everyone as fast as lightning. After a dozen breaths, another person went crazy. Dong Zhengyang asked, "What should we do?" Wolf King said without turning his head, "Just kill him." Dong Zhengyang frowned and smashed that person's head with his palm. As for the corpse, he directly threw it into the blood mist. "How far is the exit? If this continues, not only them, but even we will not be able to escape." Shen Long transmitted his voice to Qin Feiyang and the others. He was also panicking. As time passed, those combat emperors went crazy one by one. In less than 100 breaths. Other than Qin Feiyang and the other war masters, only Wu Yan and Su Yang remained rational. However, although they hadn't gone mad yet, they were almost driven mad. That was because all those who had lost their minds were directly killed by Dong Zhengyang and the others. It could be said that they were merciless. This scared them. This was because the two of them were the weakest among the people who were still alive. They might go crazy in the next moment. And the outcome of going crazy would definitely be the same as the others, obliterated by Dong Zhengyang and the others. Where the hell is this damn exit? The two of them were about to go crazy. Jejia, suddenly. Another sinister laugh rang out. Dong Zhengyang and the others instinctively looked at Wu Yan and Wu Yan, killing intent flashing in their eyes. They thought that the two of them had gone mad. But in the end, he found that the two of them had not lost their minds. Then the question was, where did this sinister laughter come from? Jia. Before they could come back to their senses, another burst of sinister laughter rang out. Furthermore, more than one person was laughing sinisterly. There were many of them. These sinister laughter came from the left and right sides. It was like the laughter of the devil, making one's scalp tingle. Whoosh! The next moment, white figures rushed out from the blood mist on both sides and pounced on Qin Feiyong and the others. These people's faces were covered with shocking blood vessels. Their blood-red eyes were cruel and bloodthirsty, like a pack of hungry jackals and wolves. Qin Feiyong and the others hurriedly glanced and found that there were more than 100 people. And the clothes on the chest were embroidered with different words. They were Feng, Yu, Kuan, Chong, and Yi. These 5 words each represented a state. Feng represented Feng state. Yu represented Yu state. In other words, these were people from the 5 states. So many. Seeing these people appear, Wu Yan and Wu Yan's eyes suddenly widened. Senior brother Qin, I beg you, let us go to the castle. I swear, I won't have any objections to what you say in the future. The line of defense in their hearts completely collapsed, and they begged Qin Feiyong endlessly. Shut up! Qin Feiyong coldly shouted, looked at Dong Zhengyang and the others, and said in a deep voice, don't entangle with them, let's go. Wolf King didn't care about anything and was only responsible for leading them to escape, while Qin Feiyong and the others were responsible for fighting the enemy. Fortunately, those who lost their minds were not strong, and did not have much impact on them. But that group of people chased them crazily. Gradually, even Qin Feiyong became irritated. Because so much time had passed, but there was still no trace of the exit. They couldn't help but wonder if there was an exit here. Or, did they have to use other methods to make the exit appear? About 100 breaths later, accompanied by a painful howl, Su Yong finally went crazy. Save me! He held his head and roared hysterically at Qin Feiyong, his face full of despair. Qin Feiyong was silent. Since entering the inner hall, this person had repeatedly schemed against him, and when he came to the 9 nether yellow springs, he repeatedly jumped out to cause trouble. When encountering such a thing, even a kind person would have the intention to kill. What's more, Qin Feiyong was not a kind person. Seeing Qin Feiyong indifferent, Su Yong suddenly despaired to the extreme, and roared, You bastard, I swear, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Say it again. Qin Feiyong suddenly turned his head. His eyes filled with a bone-piercing cold light. Bastard, your whole family will die a horrible death. Su Yong roared. At this point, what was he afraid of? Anyway, it was a dead end. Okay, I'll save you. Qin Feiyong stepped forward and directly sent Su Yong into the castle. Seeing this, Wu Yan couldn't help but be stunned. What's wrong with this person? Su Yong scolded him so viciously, but he still saved him. Could it be that he had masochism? Thinking of this, Wu Yan also cursed at Qin Feiyong. You bastard, come and kill me if you have the guts. Qin Feiyong said. Okay, I'll save you too. And Wu Yan was stunned and immediately became wild with joy. This guy was indeed a masochist. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have begged him and directly scolded him. Qin Feiyong also did as he said. With a wave of his hand, Wu Yan was also sent to the castle. What's going on? Dong Zhengyang and the others looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. Perhaps of the people present, only the Wolf King knew what Qin Feiyong was planning to do. Qin Feiyong didn't say anything more, turned around and landed beside Wolf King, and said, Continue. Okay. The Wolf King chuckled. But before his voice fell, a sudden change occurred. The surrounding blood mist disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. That's right. It disappeared. And it disappeared into thin air. What's going on? Looking at this scene, their eyes were full of surprise. When all the blood mist disappeared, they looked back and were surprised to find that all the people who had lost their minds in the 5 regions had also disappeared. Was it an illusion? They looked at each other. Pah! Suddenly, Wolf King jumped up and slapped Dongfang Wuhan's face with his claws. Dongfang Wuhan was stunned on the spot and said angrily, What are you doing? Wolf King asked, Does it hurt? Dongfeng Wuhan's face darkened, and he roared. Nonsense, do you want me to slap you? No need, no need. Wolf King quickly waved his claws and said with a smile. Since you can feel pain, it means that it's not an illusion. That's true. Dongfeng Wuhan nodded, but then he said angrily, don't try to change the topic. I can't let you slap me for nothing. Wolf King jumped onto Qin Feiyong's shoulder, picked his nose, and said indifferently, I didn't slap you for nothing. At least now we know that everything that happened is real. Dongfeng Wuhan was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. Wolf King jokingly said, so unhappy, do you want to slap me back? Okay. Dongfeng Wuhan stepped forward, raised his arm, and slapped Wolf King. Wolf King cast a sidelong glance at Dongfeng Wuhan and said, I won't fight back, but what are the consequences? Hearing the word consequences, Dongfeng Wuhan's arm suddenly stiffened, and he didn't dare to slap him again. Why aren't you fighting? Hurry up, I'm waiting. Wolf King looked at Dongfeng Wuhan indifferently, the contempt in his eyes undisguised. Dongfeng Wuhan's face was ashen. He couldn't fight, but he could not fight either. For a moment, he was riding a tiger and couldn't get off. Is it appropriate to cause internal strife in front of so many of us? At this moment, a clear voice rang out, breaking the deadlock. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a group of people gathered more than 200 meters away. There were a total of 13 people, both men and women, and all of them had extraordinary temperaments. 6 of them had the word Feng embroidered on their chest. The other 7 had the word Yu embroidered on their clothes. They were obviously people from Feng State and Yu State. Furthermore, they were all War Master S. The valiant woman from Feng State was also among them. When the woman saw Qin Feiyong looking over, she smiled and said, Brother Qin, we meet again. Yeah. We're quite fated. Qin Feiyong smiled and began to size up the surrounding environment. The place where they were now was also a black plain without a single blade of grass. However, the blood mist was very light, and the visibility could reach more than 500 meters. The woman asked, Brother Qin, do you know where this place is? Where is this place? Qin Feiyong was puzzled and looked at the woman again. The woman didn't answer. She turned around and retreated to the side. Then, with a wave of her hand, the other 12 people also stepped aside. When the group of people stepped aside, the pupils of Qin Feiyong and the others suddenly shrank. Behind the group of people, there was a stone tablet standing tall. The stone tablet was 2 meters tall and 1 meter wide. It was completely black and emitted a cold aura. On the stone tablet, there were 3 words that made people tremble in fear. Bridge of Helplessness. The few of them looked at the stone tablet, their hearts surging. Before it was the gate of hell, and now it was the bridge of helplessness. Could it be that the place this road led to was really the underworld? And behind the stone tablet, there really was an ancient stone bridge. The stone bridge was more than 2 meters wide. It was like a dark python, winding and winding, extending to the end of the world. There were no railings on both sides of the ancient bridge. The whole thing gave people a cold and mysterious feeling. The woman from Feng province asked, Brother Qin, this bridge of helplessness is a legendary existence. It's mysterious and unpredictable. Do you want to travel with us? Travel with us? Qin Feiyong was stunned and said with a smile. Traveling with us is fine, but I'm afraid of being plotted against. Brother Qin can rest assured about this. Although we are competitors, we of Feng province and Yu province will never do such a despicable thing as plotting against others. The woman smiled faintly. The others from Feng province and Yu province also had friendly smiles on their faces. Dongfeng Wuhan said, Junior brother Qin, they must be planning something. Don't be fooled by their appearance. Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment and said, Let's go and take a look first. The group of people stepped forward and walked towards the woman and the others. Chapter 638. After dozens of breaths, the 2 groups of people met up. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong noticed a person sitting cross-legged in the crowd on Yu Zhou's side. It was a man. He was handsome, tall, and had long sky-blue hair. His eyes were slightly closed, and the aura around his body was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. The woman from Feng Zhou explained with a smile, He's trying to break through to a 3-star battle ancestor. It's precisely because we're waiting for him that we haven't stepped onto the bridge of helplessness. Qin Feiyong's pupils constricted. His gaze moved away from the man and scanned everyone from the two provinces. He smiled and said, "You guys are so strong. If we travel with you, wouldn't it be the same as accompanying a wolf?" "Brother Qin, you're wrong. You're the ones with wolves now, not us," a woman from Yuzhou said with a smile. As she spoke, she glanced at Wolf King on Qin Feiyong's shoulder. Wolf King chuckled and said, "Little girl, you're wrong too. I'm not an ordinary wolf. I'm an unparalleled and unique divine wolf. Quickly worship me." The woman from Yuzhou immediately covered her mouth and laughed. The others were also amused. Qin Feiyong looked at the woman from Yuzhou. This woman's appearance was also very ordinary, but her aura was almost on par with the woman from Fengzhou. "Brother Qin, there are a total of 5 one-star battle ancestors, 4 two-star battle ancestors, and 3 three-star battle ancestors. Including the blue-haired youth who hasn't broken through yet, there are 4 of them. We can't be careless." Lu Xingqian transmitted his voice. "Yes," Qin Feiyong secretly replied. He looked at the woman from Fengzhou and asked, "Have you seen Wan Qiu and the others?" "No, they should still be behind us." The woman shook her head. Qin Feiyong frowned and said, "It seems that they are deliberately avoiding us." The woman smiled and said, "With their little strength, do they dare to face us head-on?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. Wan Qiu and the others were already quite strong, but he didn't expect them to be so weak in the eyes of this woman. But then again, with the overall strength of Feng State, they did have the capital to do so. After thinking for a while, Qin Feiyong asked again, "Did you see anyone from He Province and Yun Province?" He had never forgotten Tan Wu, Mo Wushan, and the others. "I didn't see anyone from Cloud State, but I did see someone from He State. But the strange thing is, it seems like there is only one person." The woman frowned. Wolf King sneered. "Of course it's only one person. We've killed all the others." "Killed them all?" The expressions of the woman and the others froze. They originally thought that only one person from He Province had come, or that the others had died under the fangs of the ferocious beasts on the way, but they didn't expect that it was the work of this group of people. Qin Feiyong looked at Shenlong and the others. Dongfang Wuhan, Murong Xiong, Shenlong, and Jiang Wei all nodded. "All right, we'll do as you say." Qin Feiyong nodded, turned to look at the woman from Fengzhou, and laughed. "We've discussed it, and feel that it's better not to trouble you. So it's like that." The woman couldn't help but feel a trace of disappointment in her eyes. She smiled and said, "Since that's the case, I won't force you. However, you are all in a bad state right now. I suggest you rest here first and wait until you recover to your peak state before setting off." "Thank you." Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and thanked her, then looked at Dong Zhengyang and the others. "What she said makes sense. You all rest here. I'll go to the castle with Wolf King." They nodded. "Be careful." Qin Feiyong secretly warned them, then took Wolf King to the castle. Inside the castle, Wu Yan and Su Yang had already regained their senses, and the blood on their faces had disappeared. At this moment, the two of them were sitting cross-legged in a corner, talking and laughing about something. Seeing Qin Feiyong appear, the two of them didn't get up, and had a fearless attitude. Wu Yan laughed. "Senior brother Qin, I still have to thank you for saving our lives, but I never thought you would have such a special hobby." Su Yang said, "Yeah, I've seen all kinds of weird people, but this is the first time I've seen a weird hobby like being scolded by others." There was a hint of ridicule in the two's eyes. Little did they know that they were already in trouble. Qin Feiyong looked at the two of them faintly and said, "Are you done talking?" "Yes. By the way, if you need help in the future, come to us at any time. We are not strong, but we can still scold people." The two of them laughed. Qin Feiyong shook his head and sighed. "I've seen a lot of stupid people, but it's the first time I've seen someone as stupid as you two." As soon as this remark came out, Fatso, who was watching the show by the side, moved closer to Wu Yan and Su Yang with a wretched smile. Like Wolf King, he knew Qin Feiyong well. He already knew why Qin Feiyong saved Wu Yan and Su Yang, but he didn't pay attention to it before, letting the two of them be arrogant first. Because the more arrogant they were, the more fun it would be to beat them up. At the same time, Lu Hong, Lin Yi, and the pangolin also opened their eyes, looked at Wu Yan and Su Yong sarcastically, and shook their heads. Only Luo Qianxue seemed to be unaware of it. After all, she was much older than Lin Yi and others. Her mentality was naturally different. At the same time, Xin Mei looked at the expressions of Qin Feiyong and others, and she also showed a look of realization. She secretly transmitted a voice to Ren Wushuang. Just now, Wu Yan and Su Yong were talking so seriously. I almost believe that Qin Feiyong has this kind of weird hobby. How is that possible? Ren Wushuang responded. She couldn't tell whether he was happy, angry, or sad. After getting along for so long, how could she not know Qin Feiyong's character? Shen Mei looked at Ren Wushuang with deep meaning and said secretly, "It seems that you don't plan to save them. They asked for it. They deserve it." Chapter 639. At the same time, hearing Qin Feiyong's sarcastic words and looking at Fatso's wretched expression, Wu Yan and Wu Yan felt a strong uneasiness in their hearts. Could it be that they had misunderstood Qin Feiyong's intentions from the beginning? Qin Feiyong did not say anything. He took 2 steps back, crossed his arms in front of his chest, and looked at the two indifferently. However, the Wolf King, jumped down from his shoulder. Together with Fatty, they circled Wu Yan and her companion from the left and right. "You actually said that boss is masochistic? I have to admit that your imagination is really rich." Fatso shook his head and mocked. Hearing this, the two of them turned pale. There was no doubt that they had misunderstood Qin Feiyong's intentions. Qin Feiyong sent them to the castle not to save them, but to kill them. "Senior brother Qin, we were wrong." Yes, Senior brother Qin, we thought we were smart and reaped what we sowed. You can beat us or scold us, but please don't kill us." With a plop, the two of them directly knelt on the ground and begged in panic. Fatso chuckled and said, "Don't worry, we definitely won't kill you. Thank you, Senior Brother Fatty. We will never forget Senior Brother Fatty's great kindness." The two of them were overjoyed and hurriedly kowtowed to thank him. "You're welcome. Listen to Fat Lord first. We didn't kill you because if we did, it would be too easy for you." Fatso chuckled. Boom. The two of them were like a bolt from the blue, rumbling in their heads. The joy from before disappeared in an instant. "Are you desperate now? There's no other way you're courting death." Fatso's eyes surged with a cold light. He took a step forward and punched the two of them in the left eye. Ah! 2 screams like pigs being slaughtered suddenly resounded. The two of them were blasted away on the spot. Their eyeballs also burst, and blood spurted out like a column. Fatso smiled sinisterly. "What's the use of keeping him alive if he has eyes but can't see? Master Fatty, I beg you, please spare us. We'll be your slaves and carry your shoes." The two of them hurriedly got up, covered their eyes, endured the pain and begged. "You think you're fit to carry Fat Lord's shoes?" Fatso smiled disdainfully. He lifted his leg and kicked the two in the stomach. Bang! Ah! The two of them flew out and crashed into the wall behind them. Blood spurted out of their mouths. One had to know. Fatso was now a 2-star war master. How could the two of them, who were mere war emperors, withstand such a kick? His Qi-Si was directly shattered. Once the Qi-Si was shattered, without the spirit sea pill to repair the Qi-Si, even if one was lucky enough to survive, they would be a cripple for the rest of their lives. Ah! The two of them lay on the ground, covering their eyes and abdomen, howling in pain. In the meantime, all hopes were dashed. This was because there was no spiritual ocean pill to be found in the 9 prefectures. Because there was no pill formula. Not to mention the pill formula, whether or not he could find all the medicinal ingredients was one thing. This was a dead end. For a martial artist, not being able to cultivate was even more painful and despairing than being killed. "Bastard, damn fat pig, if you have the ability, then kill us. If I, Wu Yan, frown, then I'm a grandson of a turtle." The two of them roared hysterically. Right now, the two of them only had one thought in their minds. They wanted to die. Rather than live and suffer, they might as well die happily. However, Fatso had no intention of killing them. Slowly torturing and destroying them. He wanted the two of them to taste the feeling of living a life worse than death. Let the two of them die in regret. Mournful screams could be heard incessantly. The castle was filled with a pungent smell of blood. Looking at the miserable state of the two of them, Wolf King couldn't help but shudder. He shook his head and said, "Looks like there's no need for brother to do anything." Then he returned to Qin Feiyong's shoulder, with a ruthless coldness in his eyes. Qin Feiyong, on the other hand, just looked at the two of them from beginning to end. His expression was very calm, without the slightest pity or sympathy. After a full hour, Fatso finally stopped. The two of them could no longer scream. They were lying on the ground like two puddles of mud. Their faces were beyond recognition, and they were only left with their last breath. At this time, Qin Feiyong also finally retracted his gaze, turned to look at Shen Mei and Ren Wushuang, and said with a smile, "Do you want to go to the Bridge of Helplessness?" Shen Mei shook her head and said, "Forget it, I just want to leave the 9 underworlds alive." Ren Wushuang pondered for a moment and said, "I want to try." Qin Feiyong and Shen Mei were not surprised by Ren Wushuang's decision, because Ren Wushuang was such a strong-willed woman. Fatso was stunned and said discontentedly, "Boss, why don't you ask Fat Lord?" Qin Feiyong glanced at Fatso and was too lazy to speak. He walked to Wu Yan and Ren Wushuang, grabbed one of them in each hand, and left the castle with Wolf King and Ren Wushuang. Fatso hurriedly said, Hey, Fat Lord also wants to see it." "That's enough. If I really let you go, I'm afraid you'll be so scared that you'll pull up your pants and run." Lu Hong despised him. "Little Hong, Fat Lord doesn't like to hear your words. Fat Lord is handsome, wise and powerful. How can a mere bridge of helplessness scare Fat Lord?" Fatso looked disdainful. "With your face and body, you still call yourself handsome?" Lu Hong was really speechless. Although this damn fatty's strength had increased, his skin had also become thicker. No, he didn't know what shame was at all. Outside, Dong Zhengyang and the others were sitting cross-legged. Their injuries had almost recovered. Dong Feng Wuhan said, "Do you think Qin Feiyong is really masochistic?" Murong Xiong nodded and said, "I think so. Otherwise, why would he save Wu Yan and Ren Wushuang?" Lu Xingchen pondered for a while. As if thinking of something, he raised his head and looked at Dong Feng Wuhan and Ren Wushuang with a hint of ridicule in his eyes. At first, he couldn't figure it out. But after thinking about it carefully, he understood. Swish! At this moment, Qin Feiyong appeared out of thin air. The pungent smell of blood immediately rushed toward Dong Zhengyang and the others. They were surprised. When they saw Wu Yan and Su Yang, they couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. Lu Xingchen sneered and said, "Now, do you still think he's masochistic?" "Masochistic? I think he's more like a sadist." Dong Zhengyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Dong Feng Wuhan and Murong Xiong looked at each other with a trace of fear in their eyes. Fortunately, they didn't say anything at that time. Otherwise, they might end up like Wu Yan and Ren Wushuang. After Qin Feiyong came out, he didn't say a word and walked toward the Bridge of Helplessness with Wu Yan and Ren Wushuang. What does he want to do? Dong Zhengyang and the others, as well as the people of Feng Province and Yu Province, looked at him in puzzlement. Qin Feiyong walked to the head of the bridge and scanned the black ocean below the Bridge of Helplessness. Suddenly, he lifted Wu Yan and Ren Wushuang and threw them hard. Boom! The two of them fell into the ocean, splashing up waves after waves. The corrosive power of the sea was really terrible. The two didn't even have time to scream before they died. Seeing this scene, the hearts of everyone present trembled. On one hand, they were shocked by the corrosive power of the sea. On the other hand, they were frightened by Qin Feiyong's means. Especially the people of Feng Province and Yu Province. They really couldn't figure out how the two offended Qin Feiyong to make Qin Feiyong be so ruthless. Okay. The hindrances have been dealt with. Have you rested well? If so, let's go. Qin Feiyong clapped his hands casually and turned to look at Dong Zhengyang and the others. Almost. Dong Zhengyang got up and said. Lu Xingchen, Dong Feng Wuhan, Murong Xiong, Shen Long, and Jiang Wei also got up one after another. Qin Feiyong nodded, looked at the woman from Feng Province, and said with a smile, "Miss, see you later." The woman sighed. "Are you really not going with us?" Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. "This is everyone's decision, sorry." The woman smiled helplessly. "Well, then I wish you a safe journey." "Thank you." Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said, then turned around and stepped toward the Bridge of Helplessness. Ran Wushuang and the others also quickly walked toward Qin Feiyang. Boom! But at this moment, a powerful aura suddenly burst out. Ha! Qin Feiyang was surprised and turned his head to look. It turned out that the aura came from the blue-haired young man. Senior brother Ling has broken through. Now the strength of our Yu province has increased a lot. The people around the blue-haired young man immediately exclaimed in surprise. Senior brother Ling? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Wolf King, who was lying on his shoulder, said, Is there a problem? No problem. I just suddenly thought of someone. Qin Feiyang said. Who? Wolf King asked secretly. Swish. Suddenly, the blue-haired young man opened his eyes, and two bright beams of light burst out of his eyes. When he saw this person's eyes, Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled slightly. This person's eyes were also sky blue. Sky blue hair, sky blue eyes, and this person's surname. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? At the same time, the blue-haired young man got up and cupped his hands to the people around him, saying with a smile, Thank you for protecting me these days. As he spoke, he quickly restrained his aura. Why are you so polite to us? That's right, if it weren't for senior brother Ling, we wouldn't have been able to come here. We should be the ones thanking you. The people from Yu province laughed. The blue-haired young man smiled and turned to look at Qin Feiyang, saying, I was breaking through earlier, so I didn't greet you in time. Please forgive me. However, Qin Feiyang acted as if he didn't hear anything. He looked at the blue-haired young man up and down, as if he was thinking about something. The blue-haired young man was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, I've long heard of Brother Qin's name. Now that I've finally met you, it's truly my honor. But Qin Feiyang still didn't answer. What's going on? Ran Wushuang and the others looked at each other, their eyes filled with suspicion. The people from Feng province and Yu province were also puzzled. But if one looked carefully, they would discover that four of them had unnatural expressions. One of them was the blue-haired young man from Yu province. The other person was also from Yu province. It was the woman who spoke to Qin Feiyang earlier. The remaining two people were from Feng province. One of them was the valiant woman who suppressed Wan Qiu. The other was also a woman. Her appearance was also very ordinary, but the aura she exuded was not inferior to that valiant woman. It was obvious that she was also a three-star war sect. The three-star war sect of the two provinces all had such expressions, which was worth pondering over. Cough. The blue-haired young man coughed and looked at Qin Feiyang again. He asked suspiciously, Brother Qin, is there a problem? Qin Feiyang finally came back to his senses. He shook his head and said with a smile, Nothing, it's just that when I saw Brother Ling, I suddenly thought of an old friend. As soon as he said this, the blue-haired young man and the three women's expressions froze, but they quickly returned to normal. Wushuang, are you hallucinating? Is that so? Ran Wushuang stared over there, her brows tightly knitted. Suddenly, she exclaimed, Look, it's here again. Qin Feiyang and the others looked over again, and their eyes were suddenly filled with bewilderment. In the blood mist over there was a blurry shadow. The few of them looked at each other and immediately set off, speeding forward. 10 breaths later, they saw the true face of the shadow. It was a stone door. To be exact, it was just a door frame, without a door. The door frame was dark and more than 3 meters high. It was located on the Bridge of Helplessness, emitting a cold and mysterious aura. A moment later. Chapter 640. On the doorframe, there were no words or carvings. It was as smooth as a mirror. Apart from a cold and mysterious aura, he didn't sense any danger. Behind the doorframe, there was still an ancient stone bridge with no end in sight. In other words, this doorframe was not the exit of the Bridge of Helplessness. But what was the meaning of this doorframe? If the doorframe was just to decorate the Bridge of Helplessness, they wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. Because in this kind of place, everything basically had its meaning and value. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Dongfang Wuhan and said with a faint smile, Senior brother Wuhan, I'll have to trouble you to explore the doorframe. Me? Dongfang Wuhan pointed to his nose and looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. Qin Feiyang nodded. I may not be able to. Look, in terms of strength, I'm not as good as Wolf King. In terms of wisdom, I'm not as good as you. So I think it's better for you two to explore the way. Dongfeng Wuhan said with a smile. Wolf King said with a smile, Senior brother, you're too polite. I believe that with Senior brother's ability, there's nothing you can't do. I believe so too. Qin Feiyong nodded with a smile and said, Senior brother, you're not afraid, are you? If so, then I won't force you. Afraid? Humph. In this world, there's nothing I'm afraid of. Dongfeng Wuhan snorted and immediately walked towards the doorframe. Qin Feiyong and Wolf King looked at each other with a trace of ridicule in their eyes. Sometimes, self-esteem could be the death of a person. Just like now, if Dongfeng Wuhan was willing to put down his self-esteem and admit that he was afraid, then Qin Feiyong really couldn't let him explore the way. Soon, Dongfeng Wuhan walked under the doorframe and looked at the empty void in front of him, looking quite nervous. Suddenly, he regretted it. Qin Feiyong and Wolf King were echoing each other. In fact, they were trying to provoke him. He also knew that. But why couldn't he remain calm and take this risk? Seeing Dongfeng Wuhan not moving for a long time, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed and he said with concern, Senior brother, if you really don't dare, then forget it. Don't force yourself too much. Damn bastard! Dongfeng Wuhan cursed inwardly, but there was a smile on his face as he said, Junior brother Qin, you underestimate me too much. Am I the kind of person who gives up halfway? Besides, since you call me senior brother, then I should take up this responsibility and help you solve your problems. Dongfeng Wuhan added. Qin Feiyong's face twitched. You're going too far? Since that was the case, he would continue to put on this show. He rubbed his nose and said, Senior brother, you're so benevolent and righteous. How touching. Yeah, tears are coming out. Wolf King nodded. He blinked his big eyes and actually squeezed out 2 drops of tears. But just as he turned his head, Dongfeng Wuhan and Murong Xiong in front of him disappeared without a trace. What's going on? Qin Feiyong was surprised. He rubbed his eyes and opened them again. But this time, he saw an even more incredible scene. The bridge of helplessness disappeared. The doorframe was also gone. Ran Wushuang and the others were also gone. The Black Ocean also disappeared. It was replaced by a luxurious palace. On the ground, there were pieces of snow-white jade, spotless. On the walls on all sides, there were all kinds of jadeite and colored glass inlaid, emitting a hazy glow. In the 4 corners of the palace, there were 4 thick stone pillars standing tall. On each stone pillar, there was a golden dragon engraved, bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws, vivid and lifelike. At the front of the palace, there was a bed made of gold. Every single pattern on the bed was meticulously carved. This place could be said to be extremely luxurious. And Qin Feiyong was lying on the bed at this moment, covered with a golden quilt. What's going on? Qin Feiyong opened his eyes and looked at the magnificent roof of the palace, his eyes full of surprise. Gradually, a different kind of throbbing arose in his heart. This place was somewhat familiar. Suddenly, he sat up abruptly. Immediately, a heart-wrenching pain came from all over his body, and he couldn't help but let out a miserable groan. Dad! Before Qin Feiyong could figure out why his body was in pain, accompanied by a burst of hurried footsteps, 2 young women dressed in palace attire ran in from outside the door. Your Highness, you're finally awake. As soon as the 2 women saw Qin Feiyong sitting on the bed, they shouted in surprise. Your Highness! Hearing this name, Qin Feiyong felt like a bolt from the blue, and his body and mind trembled. He remembered. This was the bedchamber where he used to live. This bedchamber was built by his father, the current emperor of the Great Qin Empire, personally. He remembered that this was a birthday gift from his father on his 8th birthday. Although it was just a place to sleep, it had an extraordinary meaning. On the left side of the bedchamber was the martial arts treasury of the imperial palace. On the right side was the current emperor's bedchamber, which was less than half a mile away. He still remembered the reason why his father gave him this bedchamber. First, it was convenient for him to enter the martial arts treasury and study various martial arts techniques. Because when he was a child, his biggest hobby was to go to the martial arts treasury. Second, it was convenient for the emperor to teach him cultivation. At that time, Because of his outstanding talent, the emperor often came to teach him personally. It could be said that when Qin Feiyong was a child, he was doted on by thousands of people. However, he was no longer the 14th prince of the past. Why was he lying here? Qin Feiyong's mind was in a complete mess. The two palace maids ran up and said with concern, "Your Highness, you just woke up and your body is still very weak. Lie down and have a good rest." At the same time, the two women held Qin Feiyong's shoulders and arms and gently put him on the bed. Qin Feiyong was completely confused and let the two palace maids do whatever they wanted. He was also very familiar with these two palace maids. One was called Qin Shi, and the other was called Qin Yu. They were about 15 or 16 years old and looked quite attractive. There was a rule in the imperial palace that all the palace maids, guards, or eunuchs who entered the imperial palace, no matter what their surname was before, had to change their surname to Qin. As for what name to change, it was decided by the master they served. Therefore, the names of these two palace maids were personally given by Qin Feiyong. After covering Qin Feiyong with the bedding, Qin Shi asked, "Your Highness, are you feeling uncomfortable?" Qin Feiyong had already calmed down, but he still didn't say a word and carefully pondered the ins and outs of this matter. He was still on the bridge of helplessness before, but as soon as he entered the door frame, he returned to the imperial palace. Could it be that the door had a transmission function? But that couldn't be right. If it really had a transmission function, why hadn't Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong been transmitted away? What was going on? "Your Highness, please speak quickly. Don't scare us, okay?" Seeing Qin Feiyong not saying a word, Qin Shi and Qin Yu's faces were full of anxiety. Qin Feiyong looked at the two women and couldn't help but smile. Although these two palace maids didn't have the bloodline power of the Qin clan, they were the closest people to him besides his mother. Back then, in private, he had even called the two of them elder sisters. Seeing the smile on Qin Feiyong's face, Qin Shi and Qin Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Yu said with a smile, "Your Highness, you must be hungry after being unconscious for so long. What do you want to eat? I'll immediately order the imperial kitchen to prepare it." Unconscious? Qin Feiyong was taken aback and asked, "How long have I been unconscious?" The moment he opened his mouth, he froze. Why was his voice so immature? It was not his current voice at all. Chapter 641. What was going on? Could it be that he had transmigrated to the past? Thinking of this, Qin Feiyong hurriedly raised his arm. He didn't know if he didn't look, but when he saw it, he was shocked. This arm was too thin. The skin was also very tender. Then, he endured the pain and sat up, lifting the quilt. When he saw his legs, he was dumbfounded. These small arms and legs, was it really him? "Your Highness, what's wrong with you? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't scare us anymore, okay?" Qin Feiyong's series of inexplicable actions frightened Qin Yu and Qin Shi. Did I really transmigrate? Qin Feiyong's brows were tightly knitted together. He suddenly said, "Sister Yu, go get a mirror." Mirror? Qin Yu and Qin Shi looked at each other, their eyes full of confusion. "Hurry up," Qin Feiyong urged. Okay, I'll go right away." Qin Yu nodded repeatedly, turned and ran out of the palace. After a while, she ran back with a bronze mirror and handed it to Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong took the bronze mirror and faced his face. When he saw the face on the bronze mirror, he couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. Inside the bronze mirror, it was actually a handsome young man. Thick black eyebrows, high nose bridge, full lips, smooth and delicate skin. His pitch-black eyes were like two black gems, extremely spirited. Qin Feiyong's face was dull. Wasn't this his face when he was young? Why was it like this? He looked at Qin Yu and Qin Shi and said, "Sister Shi, Sister Yu, is this the imperial palace?" "Of course it's the imperial palace." "Your Highness, why do you ask?" The two women were surprised. Qin Feiyong said, "Then tell me, why am I here?" Qin Yu said, "Your Highness, this is your bedroom. Where else would you be if not here?" Qin Shi looked at Qin Feiyong with concern and asked, "Your Highness, did you lose your memory?" "Lost my memory?" Qin Feiyong frowned. Qin Yu comforted him, "Your Highness, don't worry. We will inform the imperial physician to examine you." Wait. Qin Feiyong hurriedly stopped the two women. Everything that was happening now was too strange. It was best not to make a fuss about it before figuring it out. Your Highness, if you're sick, you have to treat it. That's right. If anything happens to you, the Emperor and Empress won't let us off easily. The two women said anxiously. Emperor. Empress. Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled. Waves rose in his heart again, but he quickly regained his calm. He looked at the two women and said helplessly, I'm not sick. What's there to treat? But the two girls still wanted to say something. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and said, all right. If there is an accident, I will take responsibility for it. I won't implicate you. Now tell me, how did I fall unconscious and how long was I unconscious? You don't even remember this. Your Highness must have lost your memory. No, I have to tell the Emperor and Empress. Qin Shi, take good care of His Highness. After Qin Yu finished speaking, she ran outside. Stop. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and said angrily, if you continue like this, I will get angry. Qin Yu's delicate body trembled. She turned and walked to the bed. She looked a little flustered and said, this servant knows her mistake. Please forgive me, Your Highness. Qin Feiyong said, speak. Yes. 3 days ago, Your Highness and the Crown Prince were fighting in the martial arts field. In the end, the Crown Prince lost and injured Your Highness. You have been unconscious until now. Qin Yu said. Crown Prince? Qin Feiyong was stunned. Naturally, he knew who the first prince was. He was his elder brother from a different mother. However, his relationship with this brother wasn't very good. According to the precedent of the Great Qin Empire, usually the eldest son of the empire would take over the throne. If there was no accident, his eldest brother would be the next emperor. However, an accident happened to him. Because of his amazing talent, the current emperor already had the idea of making him the crown prince. And this matter was basically known to everyone in the imperial palace. The crown prince naturally knew, so he often played some tricks behind his back. But the problem was that 3 days ago, he was clearly in the 9 Nether Yellow Springs. How could he have fought with the crown prince in the imperial palace's martial arts field? No. Suddenly, a cold light flashed in Qin Feiyong's eyes. He remembered. That year, before he was expelled from the imperial capital, he did have a conflict with the crown prince and did have a fight in the martial arts field. Later on, he was indeed knocked unconscious by the crown prince. However, the crown prince didn't lose because he lost, but because he was deliberately ruthless. However, he remembered that he woke up the next morning, and not long after he woke up, his bad luck came. His cultivation was crippled and he was expelled from the imperial palace. But now Qin Yu told him that he was unconscious for 3 days? What was going on? Could it be that in Iron Ox Town, Black Bear City, Yen City, the Sea of Despair, the Land of Ruins, the Forgotten Land, the state capital, the 9 Nether Yellow Springs, everything was just a dream in these 3 days? Could it be that being expelled from the imperial capital and having his cultivation crippled was also just a dream? But more than 10 years of time, more than 10 years of struggle, more than 10 years of hard work, the result was just a dream. Qin Feiyong couldn't accept it. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he thought of the ancient castle. Fatso and the others were in the ancient castle at this moment. As long as they were still there, it could prove that what happened and the people he met in the past 10 years were not a dream. His mind moved. But in the end, he didn't enter the ancient castle and was still sitting on the bed. Qin Feiyong was surprised and carefully sensed the ancient castle, but he was shocked to find that he couldn't sense the existence of the ancient castle. The ancient castle was gone? This is impossible. Qin Feiyong shook his head forcefully. Then, he circulated the battle character formula and the return character formula. However, the 2 great divine arts did not appear. I don't believe that what happened in the past 10 years was just a dream. Qin Feiyong roared in his heart as he looked inside his Qi. However, he was shocked to find that his Qi had not been opened yet, and what was flowing in his body was true Qi. Boom! His body shook, and a burst of aura broke out of his body. However, this aura was simply weak to the extreme. Qin Feiyong discovered that his current cultivation was actually only a 9-star martial master. It can't be! I'm clearly a 1-star war master. How could I be a 9-star martial master? Qin Feiyong muttered, his face full of disbelief. Qin Yu and Qin Shi looked at each other. How could a 10-year-old youth break through to the one-star war master? Could it be that His Highness's mind was in a mess? It seemed that the situation was very serious. His Highness the First Prince has arrived. At this moment, a sharp and ear-piercing voice sounded from outside the hall. Qin Feiyang frowned. At the same time, Qin Yu and Qin Shi's expressions changed, and they hurriedly ran out, stood at the door, and respectfully greeted. This servant greets His Highness the First Prince. In front of the hall was a huge garden. On a winding path, a young man wearing a golden crown and a golden robe was striding towards them. This person was about 1.75 meters tall and was about 18 or 19 years old. He swaggered as he walked, and his expression was full of arrogance. This person was Qin Feiyang's elder brother, the current first prince of the empire. There was also a eunuch following behind the first prince with a flattering smile. Behind the two of them, there were 4 guards in golden armor, exuding a terrifying aura. The first prince walked to the door of the hall, looked at Qin Yu and Qin Shi, and said, "Is my 14th brother awake?" The 14th prince has just woken up and his body is still very weak. "Your Highness the First Prince, if there's anything, can we talk about it later?" Qin Yu lowered her head and said respectfully, with a trace of worry in her eyes. "Awake?" The first prince was stunned, and his face suddenly sank. He said angrily, "What do you mean? This prince is his biological elder brother. How could I possibly harm him?" Qin Yu's body trembled, and she hurriedly knelt on the ground and said in horror, "This servant didn't mean to offend your Highness, please forgive me. A lowly servant dares to block my way. You really don't know what's good for you, scram." The first prince shouted, his eyes full of contempt. The 2 girls replied respectfully and turned to leave. Chapter 642. In the garden, there were green grass, delicate flowers, a clear stream, and exquisite rockery. Qin Feiyang walked down a winding path slowly. Looking at the familiar surroundings, his eyes were filled with confusion. He, who had always been calm, was in a mess at that moment. He really did not know how to judge whether all of this was a dream or reality. Unknowingly, he walked onto a small bridge. Under the bridge, there was a stream. The water was clear as a mirror and fish swam back and forth. Qin Feiyang stood by the bridge and looked at the reflection on the water. He felt helpless. In the past, he never asked for help easily. But now, he really wanted someone to give him some pointers. After a long time, he retracted his gaze and looked at a pavilion beside the small bridge. His eyes were filled with reminiscence. When he was young, he often sat in the pavilion to read, practice calligraphy, and read all kinds of historical records. He remembered that once, he found a very interesting book. At that time, he was in the pavilion and read it for 3 days and 3 nights until he finished reading it. Because of this, the emperor and empress even scolded him severely. They said that he did not cherish his body and that he was too insensible. How could he read like that? Although they said that they scolded him, they were actually concerned. Since then, his mother had come here every day to accompany him in his studies and cultivation. His mother's doting eyes and kind face were still vivid in his mind. This place brought him a lot of joy. However, this was also the place he hated the most, because that was where the upheaval had occurred. He clearly remembered that the day of the accident was a cloudy and rainy day. He was sitting in the pavilion reading a book when someone suddenly came and forced him to take the calamity spirit pill without saying a word. At that time, he was in despair. He roared. He did not know what he had done wrong to deserve such a punishment. But no one gave him an explanation. Those familiar faces seemed so unfamiliar and cold in his eyes. At that time, he had just turned 10 years old. He was just an innocent child. Why did they treat him so cruelly? For more than 10 years, he had been thinking about revenge every moment. But now, he was told that all of this was just a dream. How could he accept it? Was the dream so realistic? Every detail, every character, was clearly imprinted in his mind? Seriously. He would rather believe that everything he saw was a dream. However, Qin Yu and Qin Shi said that he had been in a coma for 3 days. The first prince had also said that he had been unconscious for 3 days and had even come over to show concern for him. These were also very realistic. Suddenly, he shuddered and thought of a few things that could prove that this was not a dream. One of them was the Cosmos sack. The ancient castle could disappear, but the Xueqi bag had always been on his waist, so it was impossible for it to disappear. The things inside could not be changed. He hurriedly took out his Xueqi bag and immersed his consciousness into it. However, he was dumbfounded on the spot. Chong shui, ribs, and various medicinal herbs and pills had all disappeared. Instead, they were replaced by large amounts of gold coins, martial skills, and historical records. These were the things he had before he left the imperial capital. I don't believe it, he muttered to himself as he pulled open his shirt and looked down. Immediately, his arms drooped powerlessly as he stared blankly at the stream. His entire being was in a daze. The concentric knot and potential imprint on his chest were also gone. Could it be that what happened in the past 10 years was really a dream? Qin Feiyong murmured. Because only when he woke up from the dream would everything disappear. Your Highness. At this time, Qin Yu trotted over. When she ran to Qin Feiyong's side, she did not see Qin Feiyong respond to her. She could not help but ask with concern, Your Highness, what's wrong with you? Qin Feiyong was stunned. He turned his head to look at Qin Yu. Looking at Qin Yu's concerned eyes, he slightly adjusted his mood and smiled. Sister Yu, are you looking for me for something? Shoo. Qin Yu's face changed as she hurriedly gestured for him to keep quiet. She whispered, The Empress is here. Don't call me that anymore. If she hears it, even if I don't die, I will lose a layer of skin. Mother. Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled. For more than 10 years, he had been missing his mother all the time. But at this moment, when he really wanted to see his mother, he was a little hesitant. In the 3 days when you were unconscious, the Empress came more than 10 times. Every time she came, she washed her face with tears. Your Highness, when you see her later, you must not be naughty again. Qin Yu whispered. Naughty? Qin Feiyong was stunned. He was an adult now. How could he still be naughty? But then he was stunned again. A wry smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He had completely forgotten that he was only a 10-year-old boy. 10 years old was originally a naughty age. What's more, he was indeed quite naughty in the past. It was only because of that incident that he became mature and steady. Qin Yu looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously and asked, Your Highness, did you hear what I said? Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded and asked, Where is Mother now? Qin Yu said, Your Highness, in your bedroom. Qin Feiyong looked up at the palace located in front of the garden. After a long silence, he retracted his gaze and then looked at Qin Yu with a faint smile. Sister Yu, you go ahead. I will go there myself. Okay. Qin Yu responded respectfully and turned to leave. Qin Feiyong did not immediately go there. Although he was eager to see his mother, he was not prepared at all. He did not know what to say when they met. Standing by the bridge, he was silent for a long time. Phew! In the end, he let out a long breath and turned to walk toward the palace. He must see his mother. Because there were many mysteries that he could find the answers to from his mother. A moment later, he came to the gate of the palace. In front of the palace, there were 2 more guards. Both of them were middle-aged, tall and burly, wearing purple gold armor. Their eyes were incomparably sharp, and the aura they exuded was as unfathomable as the ocean. Qin Feiyong was very familiar with the 2 of them. They were the guards by his mother's side. However, he was not very clear about their cultivation, but according to his mother, the 2 of them were existences that surpassed the War Master. Greetings, Your Highness. Seeing Qin Feiyong walk over, the 2 of them immediately bowed. Uncles, there's no need to be so polite. Qin Feiyong laughed. As the guards by his mother's side, they were naturally very good to him, the prince. Sometimes, they would even help him suppress the first prince and the others. Therefore, Qin Feiyong had always respected these 2 people. Your Highness, you're awake. We can finally breathe a sigh of relief. The Empress has been waiting for you in the side hall for a long time. Quickly go in. The 2 of them laughed, and there was a trace of doting between their brows. Qin Feiyong nodded and turned to walk towards the door. Looking at Qin Feiyong's back, the man on the left had a trace of suspicion in his eyes as he sent a sound transmission. Old friend, Did you notice that His Highness seems a little different now? Different? The man on the right carefully sized up Qin Feiyong and thought to himself. Now that you mention it, he really is a little different. Especially his temperament now. It's like he's a completely different person from before. He gives me the feeling that he's a scheming old fox. The man on the left narrowed his eyes and said angrily. How dare you call His Highness an old fox? The man on the right was startled and hurriedly said. Sorry, it was a slip of the tongue. What I meant was that His Highness is more mature than before. The man on the left rolled his eyes and said. You must pay attention to what you say in the future. Even though we have a good relationship with His Highness, we can't act without propriety. Yes, I'll pay attention. The man on the right nodded repeatedly. Back to Qin Feiyong. When he reached the threshold of the door, he sensed a familiar aura. He would never forget this aura for the rest of his life. It was his mother, the Empress. The Emperor intended to make him the crown prince. His talent was only one of the reasons, and the other was because of his mother. This was because the Empress had supreme authority in the great Qin Empire. It was even to the extent that because of certain reasons, even the Emperor had to be courteous to his mother. Even the Emperor was like this, let alone the various dukes in the imperial capital. In front of his mother, these dukes who held great authority didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Whew! Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and slightly eased the nervousness in his heart. He walked into the main hall and went straight to the door of the side hall. Immediately, a graceful and luxurious beautiful woman entered his line of sight. The beautiful woman wore a crimson gold phoenix crown on her head and a golden dress with a lifelike phoenix pattern embroidered on it. A light golden cloud belt was tied around her waist, and she emitted a sacred aura that couldn't be profaned. Her appearance and skin were like that of a young girl, sparkling and translucent without the slightest flaw. No matter where she was a dazzling star and extremely eye-catching. However, at this moment, the beautiful woman was walking back and forth in the side hall, seeming to be rather anxious. Qin Feiyong's eyes couldn't help but moisten. This was the mother that he had been longing for so much. He finally saw her. His mother was still the same as before. There was no change at all. Mother. Qin Feiyong opened his mouth and shouted, somewhat choked with sobs. Tian'er. Hearing Qin Feiyong's voice, the beautiful woman's body trembled and hurriedly turned to look at the door. Seeing Qin Feiyong standing outside the door, the beautiful woman hurriedly stepped forward and said angrily, running around as soon as you wake up, can't you make me less worried? At the same time, Qin Feiyong's eyes also trembled. Tian'er? He hadn't heard this name for a long time, and he had almost forgotten it. Because his original name had the word Tian in it. So his mother had always called him Tian'er. I'm sorry to make mother worry. Qin Feiyong lowered his head and said. Tears uncontrollably flowed out of his eyes and dripped to the ground, splashing water. What's wrong? I only said a few words, and you feel wronged? The beautiful woman glared at Qin Feiyong angrily, then squatted on the ground and hugged Qin Feiyong in her arms, saying, Tian'er, mother is not blaming you, mother is afraid, you know? Seeing you in a coma these days, mother is afraid of losing you. Hearing this, Qin Feiyong's tears flowed even more fiercely. Okay, you're already so old and still crying. If others see you, they will definitely laugh at you behind your back. The beautiful woman rubbed Qin Feiyong's head and smiled dotingly. Qin Feiyong shook his head and said, I'm not afraid of being laughed at. Mother, let me hold you a little longer, okay? Okay. The beautiful woman nodded, looking a little helpless. Entering his mother's arms again and smelling her familiar scent again, Qin Feiyong was obsessed and his heart melted. He didn't want to get up again. If this was a dream, he didn't want to wake up. He would rather stay in the dream forever than leave his mother. However, the beautiful woman didn't think so much. She only thought that Qin Feiyong was still a little scared after surviving a disaster, so she softly comforted Qin Feiyong. After a long time, Qin Feiyong got up, wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes, and looked at the beautiful woman with a silly smile. Mother, it's so good to see you. Silly child. Mother is here every day. If you want to see mother in the future, you can come and find me at any time. The beautiful woman said with a smile, while holding Qin Feiyong's hand and walking to the seat next to them. When the beautiful woman sat down, she smiled and said, Tian'er, come and sit on mother's lap. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded happily. A 10-year-old child sitting on his mother's lap was a very normal thing. The beautiful woman hugged Qin Feiyong and said, Tian, although your talent is good, you're still young. Try not to provoke your big brother in the future. Qin Feiyong nodded, I know. With my strength, I'm still not his opponent. It's good that you know. Although mother is the empress, I can't punish your big brother because of this. However, I've already mentioned this to your father. He must be strictly disciplined. The beautiful woman said, Thank you, mother. Let's not talk about big brother. Mother, I have a question to ask you. Qin Feiyong said. What question? The beautiful woman smiled and asked. Qin Feiyong said, Do you have a dagger called Xueqi? The beautiful woman was stunned, her face full of suspicion. You don't? Qin Feiyong couldn't help but feel disappointed. After pondering for a while he said, Then I'll ask you about another person, Qin Yuan. Although he had been with Uncle Yuan for so many years, Qin Feiyong still didn't know Uncle Yuan's true identity. He only remembered that when he was expelled from the imperial capital, he was in a coma. When he woke up, Uncle Yuan was already by his side, saying that he was ordered by his mother to take care of him. He also asked, but Uncle Yuan always used some unimportant things to brush him off. Qin Yuan? Is there such a person in our Qin clan? Where did you hear about it? The beautiful woman was puzzled. In a dream. Qin Feiyong blurted out without hesitation. Subconsciously, he had already regarded those more than 10 years of experience as a dream. The beautiful woman was stunned. In the end, she burst out laughing and scolded, Silly child, how can you take the things in a dream seriously? Yes. Things in a dream can't be taken seriously. Qin Feiyong nodded. There was no Uncle Yuan, no Xueqi, and no castle. There was nothing here. If it wasn't a dream, what was it? Qin Feiyong completely believed that everything in front of him was real. He smiled and said, Mother, where is father now? The beautiful woman said, He's dealing with business. Don't disturb him. When he's done, he'll naturally come to see you. Qin Feiyong said, I know. The beautiful woman stood up, rubbed Qin Feiyong's head, and said with a smile, Do you want to eat anything? Tell mother. Mother will personally cook for you today. Anything is fine. Qin Feiyong showed a silly smile. The beautiful woman was stunned and nodded. Okay, then you rest here first. When the food is ready, mother will send someone to call you. No. I want to go with mother. I also want to personally cook a few dishes to show filial piety to mother. Qin Feiyong said very seriously. The beautiful woman looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. This child had never done this kind of thing before. Why was he so strange today? Mother, why are you in a daze? Let's go. Qin Feiyong dragged the beautiful woman and ran outside. Your body hasn't recovered yet. Why are you walking so fast? Walk slowly. Mother, your son's body is very strong. It's okay. In this way, Qin Feiyong and the beautiful woman walked outside, talking and laughing. But not long after they left the hall, a soft sigh sounded in the hall. Following that, a vague black shadow appeared out of thin air. He's trapped in the illusion but doesn't realize it. This child has been completely addicted. But it's good. Let him enjoy the long-lost motherly love in this illusion. It can also satisfy his wish. Chapter 643. The appearance of the black shadow was like a flash in the pan, and it soon disappeared without a trace. The Imperial Kitchen. At this moment, all the Imperial chefs and palace maids were standing outside the door, looking at the mother and son who were busy inside in surprise. What was going on today? The Empress, who had always been high above the masses, and the Emperor's favorite prince, actually came to cook in person? Besides, the two masters had always stretched out their hands for clothes and opened their mouths for food. How could they make delicious food? But the result shocked them. Not long after, a mouth-watering aroma of rice wafted out from the Imperial kitchen. This is impossible. All the Imperial chefs were dumbfounded. When did the Empress and the Prince learn how to cook? Why didn't they hear about it? Actually, the person who cooked was Qin Feiyong. In the past, he did not know how to cook in the Imperial capital. But since he was stranded in Iron Ox Town, He had to learn these basic life skills in order to survive. However, the Celestial Empress was completely clueless about the kitchen. At first, she thought that cooking was very simple, so she said that she would cook for Qin Feiyang. But as soon as she entered the kitchen, she immediately realized that she was too naive. Because, looking at the pots and pans in front of her, she did not know where to start and where to start. Seeing his mother's embarrassed expression, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. In the end, the Empress had no choice but to compromise and help Qin Feiyang. Although the kitchen was filled with oil and smoke, Qin Feiyang enjoyed this feeling very much. When there was sweat on his mother's forehead, he would help her wipe it off immediately. Gradually, the Empress also realized that this child seemed to be a little different from before. He was more considerate and mature than before. She even felt that in front of Qin Feiyang, she was more like a child who was taken care of. But she also liked the current Qin Feiyang very much. He was very serious and made people feel very grounded. The Empress asked curiously, Tian, did you also learn this in your dream? At this moment, Qin Feiyang was holding a big wok, and as he stir-fried, he laughed. Yes, in my dream, I learned a lot of things, and when I woke up from my dream, I had already broken through to 1-star War Master. The Empress smiled. It seems that these 3 days, you had a very long dream. Yes. In the dream, more than 10 years have passed. I remember every detail clearly. So when I woke up, I couldn't tell which one was a dream, which was the real world. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Celestial Empress came to a realization and said, no wonder you would ask so many strange questions in the side hall. Qin Feiyang smiled and stretched out his hand. Mother, give your child a plate. Celestial Empress grabbed a prepared jade plate and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang took the jade plate and quickly put the vegetables in the pot into the jade plate. Then, he turned off the fire and walked to the dining table and put it on the table. There were 5 dishes, 1 soup, and 2 bowls of rice on the table. Although it wasn't perfect in terms of appearance, fragrance, and taste, it could still arouse one's appetite. Qin Feiyang swallowed his saliva and turned to look at his mother. He smiled and said, it's all healed, my gentle and kind mother. Please enjoy. All right. Empress nodded and walked to the table with a smile. She picked up the jade chopsticks and put a piece of vegetable into her mouth. She nodded and praised, not bad, Tian. Being praised like this, Qin Feiyang scratched his head in embarrassment and said, if mother likes it, this child will make it for you every day. Celestial Empress smiled and said, looks like mother will be in for a treat in the future. Is it really that delicious? Let me have a taste. But at this moment, a voice full of energy rang out. Following closely, a golden figure appeared in front of the table out of thin air. Immediately, Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. The person who came was a middle-aged man with a golden dragon crown on his head and a golden dragon robe on his body. His eyebrows were sharp like swords and his entire body emitted a shocking aura of an emperor. Without a doubt, this person was the current supreme emperor of the great Qin Empire. Greetings, Your Majesty. As soon as the emperor arrived, the palace maids, guards, and imperial chefs outside knelt down and kowtowed. Greetings, Your Majesty. Celestial Empress also stood up and bowed. The emperor smiled and said, we're all family here, there's no need to be so polite. With that, the emperor looked at the crowd outside and said, all of you, stand up too. Yes. Everyone stood up and stood respectfully in front of the door, not daring to even breathe loudly. Celestial Empress was puzzled. Aren't you dealing with matters? Why are you suddenly here? My precious son is awake. Of course I have to come and see him. The emperor looked at Qin Feiyang dotingly, but found that Qin Feiyang was looking at him with a trace of fear in his eyes. Tian, what's wrong? Could it be that after being unconscious for a few days, you can't even recognize your father? The emperor scolded with a smile. Celestial Empress also looked at Qin Feiyang strangely. Qin Feiyang quivered and came back to his senses. He bowed and said, greetings, father. That disaster was just a dream. The father in front of him was still the father who doted on him. Everything was in the past. There was no need to think so much. The emperor was stunned and patted Qin Feiyang's head in annoyance. He scolded, brat, why are you so reserved all of a sudden? This is not like you. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, People will grow up. Ah. The emperor was stunned and asked with a strange expression, "So, you've grown up?" "Just a little more mature than before." Qin Feiyong chuckled. "Come on, do you think I don't know what kind of person you are? Stop putting on an act in front of your father." The emperor rolled his eyes and looked at the dishes on the table. He said in surprise, "You made all these?" "Yes." "Father, have a taste too." Qin Feiyong was like a child who was asking for praise. He quickly took a pair of chopsticks and handed it to the emperor. The emperor smiled and said, "Of course I have to try the food made by my precious son. But there is a condition. If it doesn't taste good, I will punish you." Qin Feiyong asked, "If it's delicious, then shouldn't I be rewarded?" The emperor's face twitched. He turned to look at Celestial Empress and said, see. Just now he said he was mature, and now he is taking the opportunity to blackmail his father. Alas! How did I give birth to such a white-eyed wolf?" The emperor shook his head with a sad face. White-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyong's body trembled. The emperor's unintentional words awakened his memory. Wolf King. Going through life and death with the white-eyed wolf, fighting side by side for more than 10 years, he had long been an inseparable family member. But he didn't expect that it was just a dream. But when the emperor saw this, he thought that Qin Feiyong was angry. He smiled apologetically and said, Father was just joking. Be good. Don't be angry. Father will apologize to you, okay?" As the emperor of the empire, he could actually put down his attitude and apologize to his child. It could be seen how much the emperor doted on Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong was speechless. "Am I such a petty person? I just thought of a wolf in my dream." Dream. The emperor was stunned. Celestial Empress smiled and said, "These 3 days, Tian'er had a very long dream. He even said that in his dream, he had already broken through to War Master." The emperor was stunned, then shook his head and said, "What a silly boy, but with your talent, not to mention War Master, even surpassing father is not impossible, as long as you are willing to work hard." "I will work hard." Qin Feiyong nodded solemnly. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have thought so much, but it was different now. No matter what identity or background one had, without strength, everything was in vain. The emperor looked at Qin Feiyong seriously and nodded. "Yes, you are indeed much more mature than before. All right, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's have a good meal as a family." The family of 3 sat around the dining table, chatting and laughing. It was a happy and harmonious atmosphere. Qin Feiyong looked at his mother and then at his father, a happy smile on his face. This was the life he wanted. Happy times always passed quickly. After the meal, the emperor went to deal with business again. Celestial Empress accompanied Qin Feiyong back to his bedroom, gave him a few words of advice, and then turned to leave. Qin Feiyong seemed to have suddenly made a decision and shouted, "Mother, wait." Celestial Empress stopped, turned around, and asked with a smile, "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyong said, "Mother, I want to go to the spiritual state to take a look." "Spiritual state?" Celestial Empress frowned. Qin Feiyong said in disappointment and frustration, "Although it was only a dream, I still wanted to take a look because there were too many people in the dream that I was worried about." Celestial Empress pondered for a moment and nodded with a smile. "All right, but I will only be reassured if your 2 uncles go with you." "Okay." Qin Feiyong nodded. Celestial Empress said, "Qin Zhong, Qin Yi, come in." The 2 burly men in purple and gold armor immediately walked into the hall. Celestial Empress said, "Accompany Tian'er to the spiritual state. Remember to protect Tian'er. If anything happens to him, you know the consequences." "Yes. We swear to protect His Highness with our lives." The 2 knelt on one knee and said respectfully. Celestial Empress nodded and looked at Qin Feiyong with a smile. "You decide when to go. I have other things to do." Qin Feiyong bowed and said, "Mother, take care." "Farewell, Celestial Empress." After seeing off Celestial Empress respectfully, Qin Zhong and Qin Yi stood up and looked at Qin Feiyong with a sly smile on their faces. Qin Yi moved closer to Qin Feiyong and chuckled. "Your Highness, what's so fun about the spiritual state? Uncle will take you to a more fun place." "Where?" Qin Feiyong was puzzled. Qin Yi glanced at the door and saw no one, so he whispered, "Fragrant Moon Brothel." Qin Feiyong was stunned. He smiled bitterly and said helplessly, Uncle Xueqi, I'm still a child. Fragrant Moon Brothel was the most famous restaurant in the imperial capital. More importantly, it was a brothel. You're 10 years old. You're still young? Go and see those nobles and marquises. They fool around there every day. Even your brothers, including the eldest prince, sneak there every now and then to have fun. Your Highness, it's not that I want to criticize you, but all you do is cultivate and read books. It's too boring. It's life. You should live it splendidly and learn to enjoy it. The two instigated. Qin Feiyong was amused. It seems that you two are regulars there too. Qin Zhong's expression changed as he hurriedly said, Your Highness, you can't say that. If your mother finds out, we'll both be finished. Qin Feiyong smiled. Okay, I won't tell mother. Let's go to the spiritual state first. As for Fragrant Moon Brothel, we'll talk about it when we come back. That's more like it. Let's go. I'll take you to the pagoda. Qin Yi said. Pagoda? Qin Feiyong frowned. Why hadn't he heard of this place? Qin Yi explained. There are teleportation altars to the 9 states in the pagoda. However, no one knows about this except for the Emperor, Empress and us guards. Qin Zhong added. Especially you princes. Once you know, you'll definitely run around. Qin Feiyong was enlightened. In the dream, when he was expelled from the imperial capital, he was in a coma. When he woke up, he was already in the spiritual state. He didn't know how he got to the spiritual state at that time. However, he had been guessing that it was Uncle Yuan who brought him there. Swoosh! Qin Zhong waved his hand and swept Qin Feiyong out of the hall. Soon, they left the halls and entered a deep mountain. Where is this? Qin Feiyong scanned his surroundings, his eyes full of suspicion. In this place, the mountains were undulating, ancient trees towered into the sky, and powerful ferocious birds spread their wings and soared between heaven and earth. There were also all kinds of ferocious beasts lurking in the forest, and their auras were extremely terrifying. Back Mountain. Qin Yi said. What? Qin Feiyong was shocked. Speaking of the Back Mountain, one had to talk about the Imperial Palace first. The Imperial Palace covered an extremely large area. It was no exaggeration to say that even Battle Faction had to fly for a few days to cross the north and south. There were many places that Qin Feiyong had never been to. Among them was the Back Mountain. Of course. It wasn't that he didn't want to come, but that he couldn't. In the Imperial Palace, the Back Mountain was considered a forbidden area. Without the permission of the Emperor and Empress, no one could set foot in it. The princes were no exception. Therefore, all along, this place had been a mystery in Qin Feiyong's eyes. Chapter 644. On the peak of the mountain sat a huge ancient pagoda. The ancient pagoda was dark and exuded an ancient aura. On the front of the ancient pagoda, 2 bold words were engraved. Pagoda. In front of the pagoda, an old man sat cross-legged. This person was dressed in white, had white hair and a white beard, and exuded an otherworldly aura. Qin Feiyong looked at the old man and realized that he had never seen him before. Qin Yi bowed to the old man and said, Elder Qin, we are under the orders of the Empress to bring His Highness the 14th Prince to the spiritual state. Please open the pagoda door. The old man opened his eyes. They were not cloudy at all and were shining brightly. Glancing at Qin Yi and Qin Yi, the old man looked at Qin Feiyong, stood up, and cupped his hands. Greetings, Your Highness. Qin Feiyong smiled. Senior, you don't have to be so polite. Even Qin Yi and Qin Yi were so respectful. This old man was obviously not an ordinary person. I've long heard that Your Highness is talented and outstanding. Now that I've seen you, you are indeed extraordinary. The old man smiled. Qin Feiyong was a little embarrassed and shook his head. Senior, you flatter me. I really don't deserve it. Talented but not arrogant. Successful but not arrogant. You have a good temperament. The old man nodded with a smile, seemingly praising Qin Feiyong. Then, he turned around and stretched out his old arm. Battle Qi gushed out of his index finger and merged into the pagoda door. Clang! Immediately, the pagoda door slowly opened, and a magnificent aura rushed out. The old man said, The teleportation altar to the spiritual state is on the first level. Go in yourselves. Remember, don't run around. Understood. Qin Yi and Qin Feiyong bowed and replied, then led Qin Feiyong into the pagoda. The pagoda door also closed. Qin Feiyong looked at everything in front of him curiously. The space here was about 100 meters wide. 9 blood-red altars were neatly arranged on the ground, all emitting an ancient and mysterious aura. Beside the 9 altars, there was a stone tablet with different words engraved on it. Spiritual state, cloud state, crane state, Yuzhou, Fengzhou, etc. Qin Feiyong followed Qin Yi and Qin Yu to the stone tablet with the spiritual state engraved on it. Qin Zhong said, this altar leads to the spiritual state. Qin Feiyong asked doubtfully, is there an altar on the second floor as well? This. Qin Zhong hesitated for a moment before shaking his head. Your Highness, I really can't say that. All right. Qin Feiyong shrugged helplessly. Qin Zhong smiled apologetically. Battle chi surged out and flowed into the altar. Boom. All of a sudden, the blood-colored altar shone brightly. Qin Yi grabbed Qin Feiyong's arm and stepped onto the altar, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. In the spiritual state, in the air above a mountain range outside the city. Whoosh! 3 figures appeared out of thin air. Qin Feiyong shook his head, pondered for a moment, and said, next, let's go to Yen City. Above Yen City. Swish! Qin Feiyong and the other 2 appeared out of thin air. Qin Zhong asked, who are you going to ask about this time? Qin Feiyong said, ask about a person called Yen. However, his words came to an abrupt halt. Qin Zhong asked suspiciously, Yen what? Yen what? Qin Feiyong also asked himself in his heart. He clearly thought of a name before, why did he suddenly forget it? What happened? Suddenly, he remembered again. He wanted to ask about Yen Nanshan. Go and ask if there is a person called Yen Nanshan, and someone called Jiang. Speaking of this, Qin Feiyong's memory blurred again. He tried hard to recall for a moment and said, right, Jiang Zhengyi. Okay. Qin Zhong nodded and quickly rushed down. Qin Feiyong looked down at Yen City, his eyes full of confusion. Yen Nanshan and Jiang Zhengyi were such familiar names. Why did it take him so long to remember? Alas! At this moment, a soft sigh came into Qin Feiyong's mind. Who is it? Qin Feiyong was shocked and looked around. Your Highness, what's wrong? Qin Yi also looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. Why is there no one? Qin Feiyong frowned and shook his head. Nothing. Maybe I'm hallucinating. But before his voice died away, a black shadow appeared out of thin air in front of him. Qin Feiyong looked at the black shadow with bewilderment. The black shadow's voice came into Qin Feiyong's mind again. How long are you going to stay here? What do you mean? Qin Feiyong frowned. Your Highness, who are you talking to? When Qin Yi heard Qin Feiyong speak again, the bewilderment in his eyes grew even stronger. He followed Qin Feiyong's gaze but saw nothing. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He looked at Qin Yi and asked, didn't you see it? There's a black shadow there. A black shadow? Qin Yi looked again, but there was still nothing. The black shadow glanced at Qin Feiyong and said, here, only you can see me. No one else can see or hear what I say. Why? Qin Feiyong was surprised. The black shadow said, because this is an illusion. Everything in front of you is the manifestation of your obsession. Boom. As soon as he said this, Qin Feiyong's mind trembled. Are you confused now? Why did you suddenly forget the names of Yen Nanshan and Jiang Zhengyi? The black shadow said again. Qin Feiyong nodded. Let me tell you, if you don't recognize reality, not only will you forget Yen Nanshan and Jiang Zhengyi, but you will also forget Wolf King and Fatso. Even what you have experienced in the past 10 years, the people and things you have met, will gradually fade in your mind. Until the end, you will completely forget. The black shadow said. Why is it like this? Qin Feiyong was surprised. Because the bridge of helplessness is a test of your willpower. If your willpower is not strong enough, you will be trapped in the illusion forever. When you've forgotten everyone and everything, that will be the time of your death. Child, I understand you. You yearn for family and a carefree pure land in your heart. You yearn for those painful things in the past to never happen. That's why I didn't remind you immediately. However, no matter how beautiful this place is, it is only fake. You can't continue like this. Otherwise, you will never be able to leave this illusion, return to the imperial capital, and see your real mother. Face it bravely. Don't lose your life because of your greed for a moment of beauty. That will only make you more regretful. The Black Shadow sighed. This is an illusion. Qin Feiyong scanned the sky, the earth, the mountains, and the rivers. There was still a trace of disbelief in his eyes. It was not easy for him to believe and accept all this, but now someone suddenly came out and told him that it was all fake. He could not accept such a change in his heart. The Black Shadow said, "You don't believe me?" Qin Feiyong roared, "I don't even know who you are. Why should I believe you? Is it important who I am?" The Black Shadow was puzzled. Qin Feiyong said angrily, "Of course it is important. Because only when I know your identity can I judge whether this place is real or not. It seems that your obsession is deeper than I thought. But I won't blame you. If it were any other child back then, they would have broken down long ago. It's not easy for you to be strong enough to get to where you are today." The Black Shadow sighed deeply. "Since you know about that, then you should know how much I want to live now. Why do you have to disrupt it? Do you want to hear my heartfelt words? I really want to live here forever, even if everything here is fake." When Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he lowered his head with an incomparably desolate expression. "I understand. But have you thought about it? If you die in the illusion, what will happen to your mother in the imperial capital? If she knows that her favorite child died outside, how sad will she be? And Qin Yuan, he has told you countless times that no matter what difficulties you encounter, you must be strong and brave. If you give up here, can you live up to his expectations?" The Black Shadow roared. Qin Feiyong's body shook like a bolt from the blue. The Black Shadow sighed softly and said, "Child, wake up. For your mother, for your uncle, and for yourself." Qin Feiyong's face was full of pain. After a long time he said, "What do I have to do to break this illusion?" The Black Shadow said, "The fetters in your heart are your parents. Only by destroying them will the illusion disappear. And with a thought, they will be turned into ashes." "What?" Qin Feiyong suddenly looked up at the Black Shadow. Even if it was fake, he couldn't do it. The Black Shadow said, "This is the only way." Qin Feiyong clenched his hands so hard that his nails had sunk into his palms and blood was flowing. After a while, he loosened his hands and said, "Give me some time." The Black Shadow nodded and said, "Okay, but I have to remind you that you have at most an hour." "So short." Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled. An hour would pass in the blink of an eye. What could he do? "There's one more thing to tell you. Wolf King and Ren Wushuang have also fallen into the illusion. You'd better save them quickly." The Black Shadow said again. "What?" Qin Feiyong's expression changed. The Black Shadow said, "But don't worry, their lives won't be in danger for the time being." "Can't you say it all at once?" Qin Feiyong looked at him helplessly and breathed a sigh of relief. "There's a question I want to ask you." "What question?" the Black Shadow asked. "Since this place is an illusion created by my desire, why didn't the imperial capital change while the spiritual state changed? The ancient castle disappeared, and people like Uncle Yuan and Ren Wushuang didn't even show up?" Qin Feiyong frowned. The Black Shadow said, "Because the illusion wants you to believe that all of this is real." Qin Feiyong understood. All of this was to confuse his mind. Because if everything in the illusion was the same as everything in reality, he would definitely be suspicious. So, the illusion removed everything that had happened in the past 10 years, leaving only the people and things in the imperial capital, and made him return to the time when he was 10 years old. In this way, he would believe that all of this was real, and then he would continue to fall into the illusion until he was doomed eternally. What a terrifying illusion. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine. He looked at the Black Shadow and said, "One last question. Who are you? Why can you appear in my illusion? When the time is right, you will naturally know who I am." The Black Shadow said with a smile and instantly disappeared without a trace. "The time is not right again." Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled bitterly. He looked down at the ground below with a trace of disappointment in his eyes. Your Highness, what's wrong with you? What illusion? What illusion? What uncle you on? Who the hell are you talking to? Xueqi, on the other hand, was so anxious that he was about to explode. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, Don't worry, I'm fine. Fine. Chapter 645. Soon after, Qin Zhong returned and landed in front of Qin Feiyong. He shook his head and said, Your Highness, the two people you want to inquire about don't exist. Qin Feiyong said, Then forget it. Let's go back to the capital. In this short time, he had completely forgotten Yan Nanshan and Jiang Jingyi. Even the memories of Luo Qingzhu and the others began to blur. He was worried that if he didn't return to the capital, everyone would forget him. Qin Zhong nodded and said, Okay, let's go to the state capital to find the transmission altarp. No need. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Since everything here was transformed by his obsession, it was only a matter of thought to go where he wanted to go. Swish. His mind moved slightly. Sure enough, the scenery in front of him changed rapidly. The next moment, he and Qin Zhong appeared in the garden outside the bedroom. Qin Zhong and Qin Zhong were very surprised. What was going on? The two were about to ask Qin Feiyong how he did it. Qin Feiyong was the first to speak. Uncles, please help me call mother and imperial father over. The two were slightly stunned and didn't understand. Go quickly. Qin Feiyong didn't explain, and there was a majesty in his tone that couldn't be disobeyed. Okay. The two nodded repeatedly, turned around and quickly flew away. Qin Feiyong stood alone in the garden, his eyes full of confusion. Although everything here was fake, he still wanted to do something for his parents before it ended. But what could he do in half an hour? Swish! But just as he was deep in thought, a black figure appeared in the sky above his head. This person's appearance was exactly the same as Qin Feiyong in the real world. Thick black hair draped over his shoulders, and a black robe set off his tall figure. Those dark eyes were like two bottomless pits, captivating the soul. But the difference was that this Qin Feiyong had a very strong hostility between his eyebrows. Moreover, as soon as this black-clothed Qin Feiyong appeared, time in this world seemed to stop. The stream stopped flowing. The flowers and plants no longer swayed. The palace maids and guards in the distance remained motionless. Everything stopped. He looked down at Qin Feiyong and said angrily, Everything here is what you wanted. Do you really want to destroy it? Qin Feiyong was shocked. He raised his head and looked at the black-clothed Qin Feiyong. His pupils shrank as he asked in surprise, Who are you? The black-clothed Qin Feiyong said, I am you and you are me. We are both Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled, and he said, Impossible, there is only one Qin Feiyong, and that is me. The black-clothed Qin Feiyong sneered. Then tell me, why do I exist? How did he appear in your illusion? How would I know? Tell me, who are you? What's the purpose of impersonating me? Qin Feiyong said angrily. We are the same person. How can I impersonate you? And my appearance is to stop you from destroying this illusion. The black-clothed Qin Feiyong said. Why? Qin Feiyong frowned. Because he is your obsession and your inner demons. At this moment, the black shadow appeared again. Inner demons. Qin Feiyong's body trembled. He actually had inner demons? When a person's obsession is too deep, he will gradually produce inner demons. Before, the inner demons did not appear because he was not formed yet. Now, you have entered the illusion. Believe all this, the inner demons have finally met the opportunity and were successfully born. The black shadow explained. The black-clothed Qin Feiyong said angrily, You old thing, aren't you annoying? If it weren't for you running out again and again, he wouldn't have found out that all this was fake. The black shadow ignored him and looked at Qin Feiyong, saying, You need to defeat the inner demons by yourself. I can't help you. I can only give you a hint. Stick to your beliefs. The black-clothed Qin Feiyong roared. This is between me and him. Why do you care? Get out. I will leave even if you don't tell me. The black shadow glanced at the black-clothed Qin Feiyong indifferently, looked at the original Qin Feiyong, and said, "Remember my words." After that, the black shadow disappeared without a trace. Beliefs? Qin Feiyong muttered to himself, not understanding the meaning of this sentence. He looked up at the black-clothed Qin Feiyong and said, "Since you are my obsession, you should understand that everything here must be destroyed. With me here, you are delusional." The black-clothed Qin Feiyong sneered. "Is that so?" Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and said, "You are just my inner demons. What ability do you have to stop me?" Not only did the illusion have to be destroyed, but the inner demons also had to be eliminated. According to ancient records, the inner demons would not only affect a person's state of mind, but also affect their future cultivation. Even to a certain extent, they would kill the original consciousness and replace it. What it meant was, if the inner demons were allowed to grow, sooner or later, Qin Feiyong's consciousness would be erased by the inner demons, and then this body would be controlled by the inner demons. However, hearing Qin Feiyong's words, the inner demons not only did not panic, but also looked up to the sky and laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Qin Feiyong frowned, and a premonition of uneasiness rose in his heart. "Have you forgotten? You are only a 9-star martial master now. You don't even have battle chi or battle arts. Look at me again. I have the cultivation of the real world. If I want to kill you now, it will be as easy as flipping my hand. But you still want to get rid of me. Aren't you naive?" The inner demons sneered. Hearing these words, Qin Feiyong looked at the inner demons in surprise. The cultivation of the inner demons was indeed a 1-star war master. The inner demons looked down at Qin Feiyong from above, and said, "I'll give you a chance now. As long as you don't destroy this place, I won't kill you." Qin Feiyong said, "If we don't destroy the illusion, you and I will die in the end." "So what if I die? Tell me, haven't you been tired of living all these years? In order to return to the imperial capital, in order to take revenge, you have put in so much effort, but where is the imperial capital now? Where is the enemy? Even if you see that enemy, what can you do? But it's different here. Look at how beautiful everything is in front of you. Those things that made you suffer didn't happen. So, I'd rather stay here and enjoy this last hour of good time than go out and continue to suffer." The inner demons said. Qin Feiyong was silent. He couldn't refute. Because the inner demons were born from his obsession, what he said was naturally his heart. A moment later, Qin Feiyong sighed. "I thought so too, but we have to face reality. I don't want my mother in the real world to be sad when she hears the news of my death." The inner demons frowned. "So, you insist on destroying this place?" Qin Feiyong nodded. "If that's the case, then don't blame me for being impolite." The heart demon's viciousness surged, and a monstrous might surged towards Qin Feiyong with the force of toppling mountains and overturning seas. Qin Feiyong immediately felt the aura of death enveloping him. In front of a 1-star war sect, a 9-star martial master had no power to resist. Was he going to die just like that? He asked himself, was dying like this considered relief? No. This wasn't relief. This was a sign of cowardice. But what could he do to break this killing trap? Before the Black Shadow left, he had specially instructed him to persevere in his beliefs. But what was this belief? The monstrous might had already pressed down, and Qin Feiyong's life was hanging by a thread. But at this moment, his eyes suddenly blossomed with a brilliant light, like 2 bright moons. He understood. Returning to the imperial capital, seeing his mother, and taking revenge, this was his belief. As long as his belief was there was still hope. Boom. The next moment, a powerful aura rushed out from Qin Feiyong's body. His cultivation was like a volcanic eruption, crazily soaring. Martial sect. War king. War emperor. War sect. Moreover, his thin and small body was also growing taller. "I will persevere in my beliefs and maintain my original heart. No one, no matter what, will be able to stop my footsteps." Finally, Qin Feiyong regained his true appearance. Carrying a monstrous aura, he broke through the pressure of the inner demons, rushed into the sky, and stood opposite the inner demons. His body was as tall and straight as a pine tree. His long hair danced in the wind. At this moment, he was like a war god that had returned, domineering and unparalleled. He actually recovered his cultivation. The inner demons' pupils contracted. Qin Feiyang looked at the inner demons coldly, and said, "Do you want to dissipate on your own, or do you want me to personally erase you? Choose." Haha. The inner demons laughed out loud. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his black clothes fluttered in the wind, as if a demon god had descended to the world. Qin Feiyang said, "Looks like I have to personally erase you." "Erase me? Are you joking? Although you have recovered your cultivation now, I also know the battle arts that you know. What right do you have to kill me?" The inner demon's black eyes shone brightly, and he raised his hand and pointed in the air. Ultimate Void. A formless energy immediately surged toward Qin Feiyang like a tidal wave, covering the sky and covering the earth. "Is that so? Then I'll just have to experience how strong I, Qin Feiyang, am," Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly. He also raised his arm and performed the ultimate void. Boom! The two invisible forces collided with a loud bang, and the palace and garden below instantly turned into ashes. At the same time, the two people in the sky each retreated dozens of feet, and a trace of blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. "Not bad. Guiyuan's sword art." The inner demons grinned, and a red sword aura surged out. 30 sword shadows appeared out of nowhere, carrying a sharp edge that could destroy the world, and slashed towards Qin Feiyang. "You're not bad either," Qin Feiyang said. With a wave of his hand, 30 sword shadows appeared in the air as well. Another internecine outcome. "I've told you you can't kill me." The inner demons laughed. The 9-leaf fire lotus, the red sword soul, and the purple gold dragon soul soared into the clouds at the same time. The terrifying aura, the destructive edge, and the majestic dragons might spread in all directions. At this moment, the world shook, and the void distorted. The clouds in the sky were like angry waves in a vast ocean, rolling crazily. "Is this the extent of my strength?" Qin Feiyang muttered to himself. He was the one who gave birth to the inner demons. Fighting the inner demons was the same as fighting himself. In the past, he did not think he was this strong. Boom! Chapter 646. It's useless. Whether it's fighting souls, battle arts, or even the return and battle arts, I know them all. If we continue, we'll be tied at most. However, you don't have much time to waste. Because you only have half an hour here. Although you've recovered your cultivation now, there won't be any other changes. In the end, you'll still forget everyone, everything, and even battle arts and fighting souls. The inner demons laughed wildly. "Is that so? Then let me tell you, you'll be the one who disappears in the end," Qin Feiyang said. "I really don't know where you got your confidence from." The inner demons mocked. "My confidence comes from my belief." "But you don't have belief, only desire in your heart. In fact, it's all my fault. I was too obsessed, otherwise you wouldn't have been born." Qin Feiyang sighed. "What's the use of saying so much nonsense? Only by fighting to the end will we know who will be the one who survives in the end. Come on." The inner demons roared to the sky. "You're right. Fighting is the best choice. Only one can survive today. This person must be me." Qin Feiyang's eyes shot out a fierce light. Accompanied by an earth-shattering sound, the 6 fighting souls cut across the sky at the same time and collided with each other. Immediately, a destructive wave, with this place as the center, surged out in all directions. Wherever it passed, the ground cracked and the void shook. The towering halls collapsed one after another. The rumbling was deafening and dust covered the sky. Puff! At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the inner demons spat out a mouthful of blood. However, Qin Feiyang only retreated a few feet before he stabilized his body. However, the inner demons was sent flying on the spot. Even his physical body cracked and blood stained the sky. How is this possible? The inner demons' face was full of disbelief. They had the same cultivation and the same fighting soul, but why was there such a huge gap between them? Although you have everything that I have, you are still the inner demons. Qin Feiyang looked at the inner demons without any emotion in his eyes. "Is that so?" The inner demons muttered to themselves. Suddenly, they shouted hysterically, "I don't believe it." Boom! A blood-red light burst out of his body. His long hair and eyes quickly turned blood red, and his fighting spirit soared into the sky. It was the battle character formula. Qin Feiyong sighed. Give up. No matter what, the inner demons were his obsession. He did not want to destroy them with his own hands. The word give up has never existed in your dictionary, and neither do I. Today either you die or I die. The inner demons rushed toward Qin Feiyong. All right, I'll fulfill your wish. Qin Feiyong nodded. He also activated the battle formula and rushed toward the inner demons. In an instant, the two of them converged. They raised their arms at the same time and activated the return formula. At the same time, a dazzling golden light appeared in their palms. Boom! The two big hands collided. It was as if a golden sun had exploded in the sky. Golden light shone in all directions and illuminated the sky for miles. Ah! The next moment, the inner demon screamed and was sent flying. Qin Feiyong also groaned and retreated. Blood kept dripping from the corner of his mouth. His face was pale. But the battle was over. The inner demons who were sent flying could be seen cracking at a speed visible to the naked eye. There was no way to repair them. Blood rained down, and the sky was dyed red. When the inner demon stabilized his body, he looked at Qin Feiyong and said, I can't accept this. I know. Qin Feiyong nodded. But you're right. The inner demons are inner demons after all. They don't have the will and belief of the original body. But I don't regret it. I also hope that you don't regret it and continue to walk on bravely. The inner demon said. At this moment, he didn't have the slightest bit of hostility. There was even a smile on his bleeding face. No matter what setbacks I encounter in the future, I will face them with strength. I won't regret it. Qin Feiyong also smiled. I believe in you, and I also wish you well. The inner demon smiled brightly. His body disintegrated and then quickly dissipated between heaven and earth. Thank you. Qin Feiyong whispered. He was very gratified to be able to say goodbye to the inner demons in such a way. At least it proved that his inner demons also had a kind side. As soon as the inner demons disappeared, the time in this world also began to move. Everything that was still also woke up. But Qin Feiyong's appearance didn't change anymore. He looked at the ruins below and the familiar imperial palace. There wasn't much nostalgia in his eyes. Whoosh! Soon, two figures broke through the air and landed beside Qin Feiyong. Who are you? The two of them looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. These two people were the Empress and the Emperor. Qin Feiyong looked up at the two of them and said with a smile, I'm your child. Child? The two of them looked at each other. Their eyes were full of suspicion. Did they have such a child? Mother, I'm really happy to be able to meet you here in advance. And today is also the most peaceful day I've had in more than 10 years. I really hope that time can slow down a little. However, what should go will go in the end. What should disappear will disappear in the end. But mother, please believe in me. I will definitely return to the imperial capital, and it won't be long. Qin Feiyong ignored the expressions of the two of them and said to himself. But when he said the last sentence, his dark eyes suddenly burst out with an incomparably firm light. As soon as he finished speaking, the Empress immediately collapsed and turned into specks of starlight, drifting between heaven and earth. What did you do? Seeing this, the Emperor immediately stared at Qin Feiyong angrily. What did I do? I want to ask you, why did you treat me like that more than 10 years ago? Qin Feiyong roared. More than 10 years ago? The Emperor frowned. He really didn't know what Qin Feiyong was talking about. Looking at the Emperor's expression, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but shake his head and laugh at himself. This was just an illusion. The benevolent father in front of him was only a figment of his imagination. How could he know about those things? Father, this may be the last time I call you this in my life. Take care, Qin Feiyong said with a smile. He looked at the Emperor for a moment and no longer hesitated. With a slight thought, the Emperor's figure also collapsed in an instant. Crack! Boom! As soon as the Emperor and Empress disappeared, the sky was suddenly filled with violent winds, lightning, and thunder. Dazzling lightning fell, the void collapsed, the sky shattered, and the earth sank, boom! In less than 3 breaths, the world completely collapsed and fell into darkness. At the same time, on the bridge of helplessness, a long sigh sounded and spread slowly. Qin Feiyong, who was standing under the doorframe, had a touch of sadness between his eyebrows. He looked up at the blood-red sun in the sky. The illusion was finally over. However, everything that happened in the illusion was clearly imprinted in his mind. His longing for his mother was unprecedentedly strong. He wished that he could see his mother in the real world right now, even if it was just a glance. Alas! After a long time, he sighed deeply, collected his thoughts, and lowered his head to look ahead. At that moment, his pupils shrank. In front of him was a flat grassland, about a few hundred meters long, and at the end of the grassland was an endless sea of blood. In the sea of blood, the wind whistled and the blood waves surged to the sky, filled with a shocking evil spirit. And on the shore of the sea of blood, there were small boats floating. They were only 3 meters long and 1 meter wide, and were dark all over. In fact, it was more appropriate to call them canoes. But these small boats not only did not have sails, but also did not have paddles. The boats were also empty. In Qin Feiyong's mind, there were countless questions. Where was this? What were these small boats for? Suddenly, he found a stone tablet on the shore, on which 2 shocking words were engraved. Sea of Bitterness. Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled slightly. He did not expect that there was really a sea of bitterness. The meaning of these small boats was clear at a glance. According to folklore, the other side was on the other side of the sea of bitterness. In other words, they had to take these small boats and cross the sea of blood to reach the other side. But in Qin Feiyong's mind, another question crawled up. He remembered that before entering the illusion, behind the doorframe was still the endless bridge of helplessness. But why did he wake up from the illusion and directly come to the sea of bitterness? He looked down and was surprised to find that he was still standing on the bridge of helplessness. He hurriedly turned around and the familiar doorframe immediately entered his line of sight. And at this moment, there was not only Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong beside him, but also Wolf King, Ren Wushuang and others. But now, they were all standing on the bridge motionless. Obviously, as the Black Shadow said, they were all trapped in the illusion. Qin Feiyong glanced at them and looked over the doorframe at the bridge of helplessness behind. At that moment, he was stunned. The bridge of helplessness was only a dozen meters long? He clearly remembered that before stepping on the bridge of helplessness, he saw that the bridge of helplessness was winding and endless. After walking for a long time, they came to the doorframe. However, at this moment, the bridge of helplessness in front of him was only a dozen meters long? Wasn't this too ridiculous? And under the bridge of helplessness, it was no longer a black ocean, but a black river. There was also a strange situation. The people of Feng State and Yu State, as well as Wan Qiu and the others, were also on the bridge of helplessness. Moreover, at this moment, their eyes were closed, and they were actually walking in place? What was going on? Qin Feiyong racked his brains to think. Suddenly, he thought of the illusion. He looked at the doorframe again, and then looked at the sea of bitterness. After a moment of silence, a wry smile crept onto his face. In fact, the bridge of helplessness he saw now was the real bridge of helplessness. And the bridge of helplessness he saw at the beginning was just an illusion to confuse them. In other words, from the moment they stepped on the bridge of helplessness, they had already fallen into the illusion, but they didn't know it. And the current situation of Wan Qiu and the others could also be explained. It was estimated that they were in the illusion and hadn't reached the doorframe yet, so they kept walking. In fact, they were always in the same place. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but have a trace of fear in his eyes. This bridge of helplessness was really terrifying. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.